Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please hold and you will be able to listen to the show.
No one knows what a day may bring. But there is life, there is hope. Redemption songs we should sing. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Redemption, whoa, whoa. Yeah, redemption. A man is a man that you should understand.
Shalom, Chaverim, shalom, brothers and sisters. Yes, previous podcast, Testify Tuesday, being blocked by YouTube, certain tunes that were not monetized, so therefore, previously all the profits from whatever tunes, that we play here on the podcast would go to the owners. That's how it was set. But now it seems as though, they're always changing things on social media, on the internet, always playing around with their laws, which makes us think a little more consciously about the law, Torah, the direction, instruction. We say study to learn and learn to do. So we have to implement this as well, where it reads there should be one law, Torah, right, for the homeborn as well as for the stranger that sojourns amongst I and I, that is one with I and I, even from another, we say from another mother, so to speak, but it's one with I and I in the covenant. There's one Torah, there's one law. But we see, and we know the prophecy, Daniel speaks, they shall seek to change times and laws and playing for out these laws. So therefore, the previous podcast for the Testified Tuesday is being blocked on a few interesting accounts. Some of these tunes we also played previously, even very recently, but now they're being blocked. And previously, when a tune gets, blocked or whatever, they say it can't be seen. These ones say it can't be seen in any territories. It's blocked in all territories. We assume it's by their publishing company or so forth and so on. People are looking for new ways, to eke out a living. So social media becomes a prime target for that particular endeavor. But this ministry of His Majesty is strictly tzedakah. It's about charitable giving. So therefore, we don't monetize this particular platform, and that has assisted us in playing certain tunes that go along with the basic teaching, the preaching, the ministry of His Majesty here on the air. So right now, we're looking at all these things and seeking to really upgrade as we are studying and learning, and we should be learning to do. So artists, we're going to basically go through a kind of a clean house, cleaning the house. Some of the old roots tunes, before this time of so-called copywriting, monetization. And some artists actually allow their tunes, free distribution. Now, it all depends, on the law. And that brings us to a very, very important point. They're using their laws to block I and I ministry, and we talk about joy and the kingdom and this and that, but we're not abiding by any law. And this is like this IKEV, the IKEV Torah portion, reading and feeding. And because of it will be the consequences if you hear, right? And if you do, right, I and I will prosper. So how is this working out? Doing it by Babylonian laws, talking about Jah kingdom, but not practicing it amongst I and we. So for future notice artists and sound systems as well, would like to trust, yes, but also verify, having the documentation so that if we do play certain tunes as we move forward in the future, we can clear the ministry rights to the podcast. Our podcast won't be blocked as it's being blocked, especially recently with the Testify Tuesday. And also YouTube playing certain, I guess this is what they're doing before they allow us to trim out those particular segments so that the full can still be distributed. Now, those particular options are not even there. They want I to dispute. We're not disputing. There's no dispute here, right? Either it is free and clear to share or it's not. And therefore, we don't know whether this is the artist. We don't think so because most artists don't really know about laws. We are just in that zeal to sing and to dance and to communicate the message. But in the full of what we're studying right here, we have to be about Jah's commandments, his statutes, and his rules, regulations, aka judgments. So it's interesting because it's the trials and tribulations that are making I and I be who we say we be. We, the Black Jews, being Jews, yeah, Black Jews of the line of the tribe of Judah. As we're studying the law, and also we're in the world, not of the world, we get to recognize what that secret that our ancestors lost by throwing Jah's direction instructions behind them, and then try to, mix up with the world flesh, satanic decorum, and then complain about no justice, no peace. So just a heads up right here on the ear and in the IRIC. For ones might wonder, well, what happened to the previous, the podcast? I like to check it out. I like to share it with someone. Well, we would direct ones to the blog talk, right? One can go to the blog talk, the MP3. I think it's available to download. One can download the MP3 and share the Audible, get the Audible there. We'll try to include the blog talk link as well in the links, even with the live stream on the Rastafari Israelites as well. Just for future notice, heads up. Any suggestions or recommendations, lojs.org, hit the contact and share your suggestions or recommendations. But here, the midway day of the Shabua, the midway day, the fourth day of the week here for the Wednesday podcast, for the Wisdom Wednesday Wisdom. Wisdom is the principal thing, all our get understanding. As we're studying, Micah and I start to practice, what we are studying, what we're proclaiming, and what we're preaching. Right? Ones don't even recognize looking at the Torah just as a so-called religious book, but it's speaking to the 10 areas of people activity, our economy, our proprietary interests as well, our community, right? And therefore also the kingdom. Wisdom, the principle.
These are also the Proverbs of Solomon, which the men of Hezekiah, king of Judah, copied out.
Yeah, it's a true word in the Brit Hadash and New Testament, where Jehovah says he will provoke I and I to zealousy by people who are no people, taking our things and mastering our things. But we're here, children of the King is what we study to learn, and we learn to do, how we overcome in Yahweh, truth, and life as the King of Kings Christ.
Out in the street, they call it
Rastafari.
Welcome to Wednesday podcast, fourth day of the Shavua. Here we have Psalm 95, today's daily Psalm, according to Roeh, Royal Order of the Ethiopian Hebrews, after order of Melchizedek here on the air. We're also in this Shavua here, the 46th sabbatical study for this Shabbat strong Ikeb, here, Shema Yisrael, give ear.
Log on to
blogtalkradio.com/discipleship radio.
Salam ta Beteseb. Greetings and welcome, family, to this special episode of Wisdom Wednesday with the Rastamandem here on Discipleship Radio.
So it's time to show and prove how Torah, God's direction, instruction is good. It's good for I and I. It's good for I and I in the 9 to 10 areas of people activity. It's good for I and I economy. First things first, the word. Words of wisdom.
I will open my mouth in a parable and sing the dark sayings of old. Does not wisdom and knowledge stretch forth their hands? Unto you, O children, I cry. All the words of my mouth speak righteousness. All the days of my life will tell. Take heed of the works of Jehovah, or man you will surely fail. Oh yeah, now, yeah. Oh yeah. In laughter the heart is sorrowful, your folly is your reward. Better a dinner of herb where love is, than feasting where there is wrath. All the words of my mouth speak righteousness, all the days of my life will tell. Take heed of the works of Jehovah, amen, you will surely fail. Oh yeah, nah. Oh yeah. Ooh, yeah. Oh yeah, nah. So take heed, your people, and live upright, for this is the time that will tell. When the righteous ones shall stand up strong, oh, why be the heathen rage? All the words of my mouth speak righteousness, all the days of my life will tell. Take heed of the works of Jehovah, amen, you will surely fail. Oh yeah, now. Oh yeah, now you will surely fail. Oh yeah, now. Oh yeah, now. See, I will open my mouth in a parable and sing the dark sayings of old. Wisdom and knowledge stretch forth her hands. Unto you, O children, I cry. All the words of my mouth speak righteousness. All the days of my life will tell. Take heed of the words of Jehovah, or man you will surely fail. Ooh, oh yeah, now. Ooh, oh yeah, now. Leave us now. Leave us. Never give up righteousness. Oh yeah, now. Keep it up, son. One of the footsteps of your father. Oh yeah, now. Words of wisdom. Words of wisdom. Words of wisdom. I hold you. I said I hold you. Got no time to lose, got no time to wait. Oh, see, two roads before you, pick your choice. There is good and bad, oh sad. See, there is one that leads to eternal life, and the other is the road that leads to death. Oh, no one knows what a day may bring. But there is life, there is hope. Redemption songs we should sing. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Redemption. Whoa, whoa. Yeah, redemption. A man is a man that you should understand. There's no Easter Pastor, baby. we should live, or you'd be sorry. Oh yeah, you'll be sorry. Never told, and we should live. Redemption songs, we should live. Oh now, whoa, 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 redemption. Whoa, 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 yeah now. Whoa, whoa, yeah. Redemption songs, we should sing now. I said, wisdom is found in the simplest of places. And no time to lose, got no time to waste. See two roads before you, take your choice. There is one that leads to eternal life. The other that leads to death. Well, oh Lord, yeah now. There is life, redemption songs, we should sing. Whoa, 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 redemption. Whoa, 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 oh yeah, redemption, redemption. Oh, we should sing.
Who can find a virtuous woman? Who can find a virtuous woman? Who can find a virtuous woman? For they shall be an orphan of thy father, and for my son, hear the instruction of thy father, and forsake not the law of thy mother. Hear the instruction of thy father, and forsake not the law of thy mother. For they shall be an orphan of thy father, and for my son, hear the instruction of thy father, and forsake not the law of thy mother. Hear the instruction of thy father, and forsake not the law of thy mother. Hear the instruction of thy father, and forsake not the law of thy mother. Of thy father, and forsake not the law of thy mother, and forsake not the law of thy mother, and forsake not the law of thy mother, the law of thy mother, the law. And forsake not the law of thy mother, and forsake not the law of thy, not the law of thy, not the law of thy. My son, hear the instruction of thy father, and forsake not the law, forsake not the law. Hear the instruction of thy father, and forsake not the law of thy mother. For they shall be an ornament of grace unto thy head, and chains about thy neck. Of thy father, and for my son, hear the instruction of thy father, and forsake not the law of thy mother. Hear the instruction of thy father, and forsake not the law of thy mother, thy mother. Hear the instruction of thy father, and forsake not the law of thy mother. Of thy father, and forsake not the law of thy mother, and forsake not the law of thy mother. And forsake not the law of thy mother, the law of thy mother, the law, and forsake not the law of thy mother, the law of thy mother, the law, and forsake not the law of thy mother, 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 the law of thy mother. The Proverbs, Chapter 1. The Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel, to know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, and judgment, and equity, to give subtlety to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion. A wise man will hear and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsels, to understand the proverb and the interpretation, the words of the wise and their dark sayings. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. My son, hear the instruction of thy father, and forsake not the law of thy mother, for they shall be an ornament of grace unto thy head, and chains about thy neck. My son, if sinners entice thee, consent thou not. If they say, come with us, let us lay wait for blood, let us lurk privily for the innocent, without cause, let us swallow them up alive as the grave, and whole as those that go down into the pit. We shall find all precious substance, we shall fill our houses with spoil. Cast in thy lot among us, let us all have one purse. My son, walk not thou in the way with them, refrain thy foot from their path, for their feet run to evil, and make haste to shed blood. Surely in vain the net is spread in the sight of any bird, and they lay wait for their own blood. They lurk privily for their own lives. So are the ways of everyone that is greedy of gain, which taketh away the life of the owners thereof. Wisdom crieth without, she uttereth her voice in the streets. She crieth in the chief place of concourse, in the openings of the gates. In the city she uttereth her words, saying, how long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity? And the scorners delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge. Turn you at my reproof. Behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you. I will make known my words unto you. Because I have called, and ye refused, I have stretched out my hand, and no man regarded. But ye have set at naught all my counsel, and would none of my reproof. I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear cometh. When your fear cometh as desolation, and your destruction cometh as a whirlwind, when distress and anguish cometh upon you. Then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but they shall not find me. For that they hated knowledge, and did not choose the fear of the Lord. They would none of my counsel, they despised all my reproof. Therefore shall they eat of the fruit of their own way, and be filled with their own devices. For the turning away of the simple shall slay them, and the prosperity of fools shall destroy them. But whoso hearkeneth unto me shall dwell safely, and shall be quiet from fear of evil. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. She seeketh wool and flax, and worketh willingly with her hands. She is like the merchant's ships. She bringeth her food from afar. She rideth also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household, and a portion to her maidens. She considereth a field, and buyeth it. With the fruit of her hands she planteth a vineyard. She girdeth her loins with strength, and strengtheneth her arms. She perceiveth that her merchandise is good. Her candle goeth not out by night. She layeth her hands to the spindle, and her hands hold the distaff. She stretcheth out her hand to the poor, yea, she reacheth forth her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet. She maketh herself coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when he sitteth among the elders of the land. She maketh fine linen, and selleth it, and delivereth girdles unto the merchant. Strength and honor are her clothing. and she shall rejoice in time to come. She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. She looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness. Her children arise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praiseth her. Many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all. Favor is deceitful, and beauty is vain. But a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates. The end of the Proverbs.
Andenya, Kasenyo, Iska Arb Baluta Kenoch, Zawater Yemibal, said on the days from Monday to Friday. Salam Lanchi Hun Inatachin Kavrit Beta Christian. Gida Gadawachish Bepazion. Inqu yetegetu nacho. Salam lanchi hun inatachin kubrut beta Christian. Peace be to you, our mother, O honorable church. Thy walls are embroidered with topaz. Peace, salam, shalom be to thee, our mother, O honorable church.
Here, the Wednesday, fourth day of the Shabua here. We have a psalm, Psalm 94, Wednesday's evening psalm, as was chanted in the Haykal and Temple of Jerusalem before 70 AD. Here. Yes, I, Rastafari.
Psalm 93. O Lord God, to whom vengeance belongeth, O God, to whom vengeance belongeth, show thyself. Lift up thyself, thou judge of the earth. Render a reward to the proud. Lord, how long shall the wicked triumph? How long shall they utter and speak hard things, and all the workers of iniquity boast themselves? They break in pieces thy people, O Lord, and afflict thine heritage. They slay the widow and the stranger, and murder the fatherless. Yet they say, the Lord shall not see, neither shall the God of Jacob regard it. Understand, ye brutish among the people, and ye fools, when will ye be wise? He that planted the ear, shall he not hear? He that formed the eye, shall he not see? He that chastiseth the heathen, shall not he correct? He that teacheth men knowledge, shall not he know? The Lord knoweth the thoughts of man, that they are vanity. Blessed is the man whom thou chastenest, O Lord, and teachest him out of thy law, that thou mayest give him rest from the days of adversity, until the pit be digged for the wicked. For the Lord will not cast off his people, neither will he forsake his inheritance. But judgment shall return unto righteousness, and all the upright in heart shall follow it. Who will rise up for me against the evildoers? Or who will stand up for me against the workers of iniquity? Unless the Lord had been my help, my soul had almost dwelt in silence. And I said, my foot slippeth. Thy mercy, O Lord, held me up. In the multitude of my thoughts within me, thy comforts delight my soul. Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which framest mischief by a law? They gather themselves together against the soul of the righteous and condemn the innocent blood. But the Lord is my defense. My God is the rock of my refuge. And he shall bring upon them their own iniquity, and shall cut them off in their own wickedness. Yea, the Lord our God shall cut them off.
Sabbatical study, this I Rastafari sabbatical study for this Shabbat Strong. Shabbat Strong. Shabbat Strong. Shem Ha'av W'Habein Ruach Kadosh. Glory be to the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Glory be. Glory be. We're gonna ride up here for this Porsche.
I have consequences because of consequences. So here, with the fourth day, we're going to share the third to the fifth days. Aliyot here for the 46th sabbatical study for this Shabbat Strong. Shema Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael. Adonai Eloheinu. Adonai Echad. Adonai Echad. Adonai Echad.
Oh, Yisrael, give here, the Shalishi Aliyah, the third reading here for this Shabbat Aikeb Senvet and Dihim Yonah. Here picking up with the fifth book of Moshe, the Hebrew book that is called, in translation, Deuteronomy chapter 9, verse 4, for the Shalishi Aliyah, for this Shabbat Aikeb, Sabbath because, Sabbath consequences. Alla tomara bia levaveka ha hidof Yahweh Eloheka otam mila faneka lemor be'fida katia heya bihani Yahweh la resheta eta haaretza hazot uba risha ata hagoyim ha'ele Yahweh morisham mi paneka. Here for the Shalishi Aliyah, for Shabbat Aikeb, Sabbath because of Sabbath consequences, and Dihim Yehonah. Speak not thou in thine heart, Alla Tomara, Bi Levaveka. Speak not thou in thine heart. After that, Yahweh Eloheka, Jehovah, the I Elohim, have cast them out from before thee, I, saying, for my righteousness, Yahweh, Jehovah, has brought I in to possess this land. But for the wickedness, the ratchetness of these nations, Yahweh, Jehovah, doth drive them out from before thee, I. Not for the I righteousness, or for the uprightness of thine heart, dost thou, the I, go to possess their land, but for the ratchetness, the wickedness of these nations, these goyim, these international communities, nationalities. Yahweh Eloheka, Jehovah the I Elohim doth drive them out from before thee, that he may perform the word, ha-davar, the logos, the word which Yahweh Jehovah swear to thy fathers, thy patriarchs, Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. Understand, therefore, that Yahweh Eloheka, Jehovah the I Elohim, giveth thee not this good land, Ethiopia, this good land to possess it for thy righteousness. For thou art a stiff-necked people. Remember and forget not how thou provokest Yahweh Eloheka, Jehovah the I Elohim, to wrath, Bamidbar, in the wilderness, from the day that thou didst depart out of the land of Mitzrayim, out of the land of Kemet, out of the land of Egypt, until ye, y'all, came to this place. Ye, y'all, have been rebellious against Yahweh, against Jehovah. Also in Horeb, ye, y'all, provoked Yahweh, Jehovah, to wrath, so that Yahweh was angry with you to have destroyed you. When I was going up into the mount to receive the tables, the tablets of stone, even the tables, the tablets of the covenant which Yahweh Jehovah made with you, then I abode in the mount 40 days and 40 nights. I neither did eat bread nor drink water. And Yahweh Jehovah delivered to me, to I, 2 tables, tablets of stone, written with the finger of Ha-Elohim, the true good, the true God, and on them was written, according to all Hadabarim, all the words which Yahweh Jehovah spake with you in Hahar, in the mount, out of the midst of Ha'esh, the fire, in the day of the assembly. And it came to pass at the end of 40 days and 40 nights that Yahweh Jehovah gave I the 2 tables, the tablets of stone, even the tables, the tablets of Habrit, the covenant. And Yahweh Jehovah said to I, arise, get thee down quickly from hence, from here, for Amikah, thy people, which thou hast brought forth, Mitzrayim, out of Kemet, out of Egypt, have corrupted themselves. They are quickly turned aside out of the way which I commanded them. They have made them a molten image. Furthermore, Yahweh Jehovah spake to I, Lamor, saying, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. Let me alone, leave me alone, that I may destroy them, and blot out their name from under Shemayim, under heaven. And I will make of thee a nation mightier and greater than they. So I turned and came down from Hahar, from the mount, and Hahar, the mount burned with fire, and the 2 tables, tablets of Habrit, of the covenant, were in my 2 hands. And I looked, and behold, ye y'all had fucked up, had sinned, had fucked up against Yahweh Elohim, Jehovah your Elohim, and had made you a molten calf. Ye y'all had turned aside quickly out of the way which Jehovah had commanded you. And I took the 2 tables, tablets, and cast them out of my 2 hands, and break them before your eyes. And I fell down, lifting at Yahweh before Jehovah as at the first 40 days and 40 nights. I did neither eat bread nor drink water, because of all your uckeries, your sins, which ye had sinned in doing wickedly, ratchetly in the sight of Jehovah, to provoke him to anger. For I was afraid of the anger and hot displeasure wherewith Yahweh Jehovah was wrathed against you to destroy you. But Jehovah hearkened to I at that time, at that hour also. And Yahweh Jehovah was very angry with Aaron, to have destroyed him. And I prayed for Aaron also at the same time, the same hour. And I took your sin, your chatiat, your uckery, the calf which ye all had made, and burnt it with fire, and stamped it, and ground it very small, even until it was as small as dust. And I cast the dust thereof into the brook that descended out of Hahar, the mount, and at Taberah, and at Massa, and at Kibrota Hata'ava. Y'all provoke Yahweh Jehovah to wrath. Likewise, when Yahweh Jehovah sent you from Kadesh Barnea, saying, Aliyah up, go up, and possess the land which I have given you, then y'all rebelled against the commandments of Yahweh Elohim, against the mouth of Jehovah, your Elohim. And ye y'all believed him not, nor hearken to his voice. Ye have been rebellious against Jehovah from the day that I knew you. Thus, like this, I fell down listening to Yahweh before Jehovah 40 days and 40 nights, as I fell down at the first, because Yahweh Jehovah had said he would destroy you. And I prayed, therefore, to Yahweh and said, Oh, Adonai, Jehovah, destroy not thy people and thine inheritance, which thou hast redeemed through thy greatness, which thou, the eye, hast brought forth me, Mitzrayim, out of Kemet, out of Egypt, with a mighty hand, a mighty yad. Remember thy servants, Abraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov. Look not to the stubbornness of this people, nor to their wickedness, their ratchetness, nor to their sin, their uckery. Lest the land whence thou broughtest us out say, because Yahweh Jehovah was not able to bring them into the land which he promised them, and because he hated them, he hath brought them out to slay them Bamidbar in the wilderness. Yet they are Amika, thy people, and thine inheritance, which thou broughtest out by thy mighty power and by thy stretched out arm. Shema, here. Give ear and hear Shema Yisrael, 5th book of Moshe, Hebrew book called Deuteronomy, chapter 10, and here for the Rebi'i, Aliyah, the 4th Aliyah for this Shabbat Ta'ikev, Sabbath, because Sabbath consequences, Senbet and Dihim Yehonah, Sabbath, and like this it shall be. Warnings and exhortations, and here for the Rebi'i Aliyah. Ba'aita hahiya Maria wa Elaya Pesala Leka Shnea Luchota Banima Ba Rishonim wa Elaya Hahara where Osita Leka Eron Ait. At that time, at that hour, Jehovah said to me, to I, hew thee 2 tablets of stone, like to the first, and come up and Aliyah up to me, wa Elai, into the Mount Hahar, and make thee I an ark of wood. Make thee to the eye Aaron Ait. And I will write on the tablets, the tables, Hadabarim, the words that were in the first tablets, which thou breakest, and thou shalt put them in the ark. And I made an ark of shittim wood, and hewed 2 tables of stone like to the first, and went up and aliyah up into Hahar the mount, having the 2 tablets in mine hand. And he wrote on the tables, the tablets, according to the first writing, the Sareta de Barim, the 10 words called the 10 Commandments, which Yahweh Jehovah spake to you in the mount out of the midst of Ha'esh, the fire, in the day of the assembly, when Yahweh gave them to I. And I turned myself and came down from Hahar the mount, and put the tables, the tablets, into the Aron, the ark, which I had made. And there they be, as Yahweh commanded me. And the Bnei Yisrael took their journey from the Erot of the children of Ja'akan to Mosera. There Aaron died, and there he was buried. And Eleazar, his son, ministered in the priest's office in his stead. From thence they journeyed to Gudgodah, and from Gudgodah to Jotbat, a land of rivers of water. At that time, at that hour, Yahweh Jehovah separated the tribe of Levi to bear the ark of Habarit, the ark of the covenant of Yahweh Jehovah, to stand lifnei Yahweh before Jehovah, to minister, to serve to him, and to bless in Shemo his name to this day. Wherefore Levi hath no part nor inheritance with his brethren. Yahweh Jehovah is his inheritance, according as Yahweh Eloheka, Jehovah the I Elohim, promised him. And I stayed in Har, the mount, according to the first time, the first Iowa, 40 days and 40 nights. And Yahweh Jehovah hearkened to me at that Iowa, at that time also. Yahweh Jehovah would not destroy thee. And Yahweh Jehovah said to me, arise, take thy journey before Ha'am, the people, that they may go in and possess the land, which I swear to their fathers, their patriarchs, to give to them, 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 to them. And here, Shema, give ear right here. Here for the Hamishi Aliyah, fifth book of Moshe, Hebrew book, called Deuteronomy chapter 10, here, at verse 12 for the Hamishi, the fifth Aliyah for this Shabbat, I kept Sabbath because Sabbath consequences, send bet indihim Yehonah, Sabbath, and like this it shall be. We'ata Yisrael, Mahyawa Eloheka, Shoela Meya Imak, Kima Le Yiraha, Etiowa Eloheka, La Leketa, Bikola de Rakayo, Ula Hara, Oto we la Broda Etiowa Eloheka, Bikola Levaveka, or Bikola Nafsheka. And now, Yisrael, what doth Jehovah, the I Elohim, require of thee? Mahiyawa Eloheka Shoela Meya Imak. However, to reverence, to respect Yahweh Eloheka, to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve Yahweh Eloheka, Jehovah the I Elohim, with all thy heart and with all thy soul. We'ata Israel, Mahiyawa Eloheka, Shoel, Meya Imak, Kimale Yirah Hetio Eloheka, La Leketa, the Kola de Rakayo, Ule Ahara, Oto, where la Boda Etiowa Eloheka, the Kola Levaveka, Ubekola Nafsheka, to keep the commandments of Jehovah and his statutes, which I command thee this day for thy good. Behold, the heaven and the heaven of heavens is Yahweh Eloheka, is Jehovah, the I Elohim, the earth also, with all that therein is. Only Yahweh Jehovah had a delight in thy fathers, thy patriarchs, to love them, and he chose their seed, their race after them, even you, above all people, as it is this day. Circumcise therefore the foreskin of your heart, and be no more stiff-necked. Circumcise therefore the foreskin of your heart. Circumcise therefore the foreskin of your heart, and be no more stiff-necked. For Yahweh Elohim, for Jehovah Yah Elohim is the Elohim of Elohim, the God of gods, and the Adonai of Adonim, the Lord of lords, a great El, a mighty and terrible who regardeth not persons, nor taketh reward. He doth exercise the judgment of the fatherless and widow, and loveth the stranger, in giving him food and raiment. Love y'all, love y'all, love ye therefore the stranger, for y'all were strangers in the land of Mitzrayim, in the land of Kemet, in the land of Egypt. Thou shalt fear, thou shalt respect Yahweh Eloheka. Thou shalt respect Jehovah, the I Elohim. Him shalt thou serve, and to him shalt thou cleave, and swear by Shemo, his name. He is thy praise, and he, Eloheka, the I Elohim, that hath done for thee these great and terrible things, which thine eyes have seen. Thy fathers, thy patriarchs, went down into Mitzrayim, into Kemet, into Egypt, with 70 persons. And now, Yahweh Eloheka, Jehovah, the I Elohim, hath made thee as the stars of heaven of Shemayim for multitude. And Shema, here. Fifth book of Moshe, Hebrew book called Deuteronomy chapter 11. Warnings and exhortations I continue. Therefore, thou shalt love Yahweh Eloheka, Jehovah the I Elohim, and keep his charge, and his statutes, and his judgments, and his commandments, always. And know y'all this day, for I speak, not with your children which have not known, and which have not seen the chastisement of Yahweh Elohim, of Jehovah Yahweh Elohim, his greatness, his mighty hand, his mighty yad, and his stretched out Zoroah arm, and his miracles and his acts, which he did in the midst of Mitzrayim, Kemet, Egypt, to Paro, Melech Mitzrayim, king of Kemet, king of Egypt, and to all his land, and what he did to the army of Kemet, of Mitzrayim, of Egypt, and to their horses, and to their chariots, how he made the water of the Yam Suf, the Red Sea, the Eterah Bahir, the Eritrean Sea, to overflow them as they pursued after you, and how Yahweh Jehovah hath destroyed them to this day. And what he did to you by me, the bar, in the wilderness, until y'all came into this place, and what he did to Datan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, the sons of Reuben, how the earth opened her mouth and swallowed them up, and their households and their tents and all the substance that was in their possession, in the midst of all Israel, in the midst of all Israel. But your eyes have seen all the great acts of Yahweh, of Jehovah, which he did. Therefore shall ye y'all keep all the commandments which I command you this day, that y'all may be strong. Therefore shall ye y'all keep all the commandments which I command you this day, that y'all may be strong, and go in and possess the land, whither where ye y'all go to possess her. And that y'all may prolong days in the land which Yahweh Jehovah sware to your fathers, your patriarchs, to give to them and to their seed and to their race, a land that floweth with milk and honey.
Simply put, children of Israel should take in Jah's advice, and I, Rastafari, take the King of Kings' advice.
My advice to all is to fulfill the 10 Commandments. You are aware of the contents of the 10 Commandments and can elaborate on.
So consequently, and vis-a-vis, if he said that if the children of Israel would do these things, he would make them higher, even most high above all nations. Therefore, consequently, and vis-a-vis, logically, if they did not do those things, and those people were to exist on the face of this earthly plane, where would they be? Would they be higher than all the nations? Because the testimonies that they would not do these things, even to the last days. In the end times, there would be a change. So where would we find them? Above all nations or below all nations? Another identification of who be the children of Israel in this event horizon, in this time, in the latter days and time, according to the words here of HaTorah and according to the prophecy. There's enough here economically too that is placed here. But the first thing is coming to one, right, to one consent, right? And that's the covenant, right? That's the covenant. We went through the third, the fourth, and the fifth aliyot right here. Let's take a moment, a pause to the cause, brothers and sisters. We have today's daily psalm, which also links Chabarim with the main theme right here. In fact, let's ride up with the opening here for today's daily psalm, Psalm 95, which is the first of the Kabbalah Shabbat Psalms, welcoming the Sabbath Psalms. Been speaking on this recently, and right here, let us focus a little more, since it's corresponds with the studies that we're in right here in the 46th sabbatical study for ICAP, and be him, Yehonal. And it will be like this. The consequences will be like this. If we hear, right, there's baraka, there's prosperity, there's security. If we do not, well, crying, no justice, no peace. But hear this.
Psalm 95. Oh, come, let us sing unto the Lord. Let us make a joyful noise to the rock of our salvation. Let us come before his presence with thanksgiving and make a joyful noise unto him with psalms. For the Lord is a great God and a great King above all gods. In his hand are the deep places of the earth. The strength of the hills is his also. The sea is his, and he made it, and his hands formed the dry land. Oh, come, let us worship and bow down. Let us kneel before the Lord our Maker. For he is our God, and we are the people of his pasture, and the sheep of his hand. Today, if ye will hear his voice, harden not your heart as in the provocation, and as in the day of temptation in the wilderness, when your fathers tempted me, proved me, and saw my work. 40 years long was I grieved with this generation, and said, it is a people that do err in their heart, and they have not known my ways. Unto whom I swear in my wrath that they should not enter into my rest, 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 my rest.
If the Yahweh, he who be, we be, delight in us, then he will bring us I into this land, and give it to us, and give it to I, a land which floweth with milk and honey. Only rebel not ye, y'all, against the Yahweh, he who be, we be, neither fear y'all the people of the land.
Rent their clothes. They spake unto all the company of the children of Israel, saying, the land which we passed through to search it is an exceeding good land. If the Lord delight in us, then he will bring us into this land and give it us, a land which floweth with milk and honey. Only rebel not ye against the Lord. A land which floweth with milk and honey. 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 In us. Then he will bring us into this land and give it us, a land which floweth with milk and honey. Through to search it is an exceeding good land. Through to search it is an exceeding good land. Through to search it is an exceeding good land.
bring forth only, don't stop. Jah bring forth milk and honey, don't stop.
If the Yahweh, he who be the light in us, then he will bring us, I and I, into this land and give it us and give it to I and I, a land which floweth with milk and honey. Only rebel not ye, y'all, against the Yahweh, he who be, neither fear y'all the people of the land. For
If the Lord delight in us, then he will bring us into this land and give it us, a land which floweth with milk and honey. Only rebel not ye against the Lord, neither fear ye the people of the land, but the land which floweth with milk and honey, the land which floweth with milk and honey. He will bring us into this land and give it us, a land which floweth with milk and honey. He will bring us into this land and give it us, a land which floweth with milk and honey. Is an exceeding good land. Is an exceeding good land. Is an exceeding good land. If the Lord delight in us, then he will bring us into this land and give it us, a land which floweth with milk and honey. Only rebel not ye against the Lord, neither fear ye the people of the land, for they are bread for us. Their defense is departed from them, and the Lord is with us. Fear them not. So the congregation bade to stone them with stones. The glory of the Lord appeared in the tabernacle of the congregation before all the children of Israel. And the Lord said unto Moses, How long will this people provoke me? And how long will it be ere they believe me, for all the signs which I have showed among them? To Moses, How long will this people provoke me? And how long will it be ere they believe me, for all the signs which I have showed among them? And the Lord said unto Moses, How long will this people provoke me? And how long will it be ere they believe me, for all the signs which I have showed among them? I will smite them with the pestilence and disinherit them, and will make of thee a greater nation and mightier than they. And Moses said unto the Lord, Then the Egyptians shall hear it, for thou broughtest up this people in my mouth. How long will this people provoke me? And how...
Remember and forget not how thou, the eye, provokest Jehovah thy Elohim, to wrath Bamidbar in the wilderness, from the day that thou didst depart out of the land of Mitzrayim, our land of Canaan, until y'all came to this place. Y'all have been rebellious against Jehovah. So here, even with today's daily psalm, Psalm 95, the first of the Kabbalah Shabbat Psalms. Psalm 95 is a very interesting psalm. It seems to have two parts to it, right? One is inviting, and the latter part is a judgment part, because it brings out this important part that we're to remember and not forget. Also in Horeb, y'all provoked Jehovah to wrath, so that Jehovah was angry with you to have destroyed you. Now, it's interesting because in that audible clip, that's from Shalach, right? From that clip right there, when they had sent the spies And Caleb and Joshua was encouraging them, seeking to big them up that we can do this. What was the people's response? The people's response was to stone them, right? Was to stone them. Interesting, in the previous aliyah, the second aliyah, from verse 11 of chapter 8, right? Verse 11 of chapter 8 to chapter 9, verse 3, we have at chapter 2, chapter 8 and second aliyah, this verse right here, right? These verses here, it says, and thou shalt say in your heart, ones and ones say, my power and the might of my hand, I did all this by myself, I've gotten me this wealth. But here's the key for wealth and prosperity for the Beta Israel at home and abroad. And we see the other Yehudim put this into effect right here. It's like the word we have in is that Romans? It's in the Brit Chadasha where it says in Isaiah that Jah will provoke thee, right, to jealousy for people who are no people. People say, oh, we should be like this one and that one. Well, Deuteronomy says here to us in Deuteronomy chapter 8 at verse 18, but thou shalt remember Yahweh Eloheka, he who be thy Elohim, for it is he that have given thee, I and we, the power, the ability to get wealth. There's a purpose in this here. Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 18. It is he who be, I and Elohim. It is he that giveth I and the power, the ability to get wealth, that he may establish his covenant. So there's a point and a purpose for the getting of the wealth to establish Barito, his covenant, that he swore to I and I patriarchs, as it is, as it be, what it be like, as it is this day. And in Caleb's words right there from the audible, Caleb said that, if Yahweh, if Jehovah delighteth, if he delighteth in us, if he delighteth in I and I. Now, as we scroll forward even to the fifth aliyah here for this 46 sabbatical Ikeb, and heals of, because, consequences. So there is two roads, two ways, Yahweh, truth and life, and the world flesh and the satanic secular. So which one do we choose? Which one do they choose? And what was the consequences? Here, as we are at the fourth day, let's zoom in on the fourth aliyah right here, picking up with chapter 10. Warnings and exhortations. At that time, Yahweh, here Moshe is speaking his farewell address. He's warning, encouraging a new generation, right? A new generation. There's a generation gap. There's a new generation here that's on the edge of the promised land. Here, Deuteronomy chapter 10, warnings and exhortations. At that time, Yahweh said to me, hew thee two tables, the tablets of stone, like to the first, and come up to me into the mount Har, and make thee an ark of wood, and I will write on the tables, the tablets, the word. So we see that the Israelites and he who be is literate in the importance of writing. It reminds the Habarim, the Talmudim, the fellow disciples to write, take note, get some composition books, start out where you start out with the Torah reading and feeding and take notes. It says, and I will write on the tables, the tablets, the words, the Debarim. Debarim, also the name of this fifth book, Hebraically speaking, the words, and I will write on the tables, the tablets, the words that were in the first tables or tablets that thou breakest, and thou shalt put them in Ha'aron, in the Aron, in the ark, in the Tabot, Ethiopiacally speaking here to the foundation, the Hebrew, the Aron, in the Aron. Now it's interesting right here that Moshe, when he came down from the mountain and saw the uckery that the people were doing, how he broke the tablets. That part kind of gets me. I'm like, Chan, I get it. He was upset, but he broke the tablets to signify that they had broke the covenant. And is this the reason why the lost, not fully found, is still so broke, right? Psychologically, mentally, spiritually, financially. Verse 3, and I made an ark of shittim wood, acacia shittim wood. and hewed 2 tablets of stone like to the first, and went up, and he aliyed up into the mount Hahar, having the 2 tablets in mine hand. Verse 4, and he wrote. It's interesting because here Moshe is narrating that Yahweh, he who be, he wrote on the tables, the tablets. Here to the Talmudim, the fellow disciples, reference to the book of Jubilees. The book of Jubilees is interesting how it is that angel, the same angel that spoke in the bush, right? The angel of the presence, the angel of the face. See, in this angel as the pre-incarnate Yeshua. This particular angel is not like Gabriel, Michael, Raphael, the named angels. We know that even from the wrestling with Yaakov, right? And when he asked for the name, also with Samson's parents, when they asked for the name, but Moshe, he gets the name. And the name that the angel of the face says, he says he was known as El Shaddai, but by his name, Yahweh, he was not known. And Moshe, he tried to dip, turn away, because to see he who be. So in the book of Jubilees, it here fills in like the angel, the role of the angel in the mount, the angel of the presence. And he wrote on the tables according to the first writing. So we have writing here. They say, well, who wrote the Bible? Well, did Moses write the Torah? Well, Moses did write, right? And others also wrote. And it seems as though the Hebrews, the Israelites, were highly literate, as the commandment was to even write these things on the doorpost of their house and on the gates of their city. So they must have been able to write, and therefore they wrote, even as he wrote on the tables according to the first writing. The 10, now here you'll see in Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 4, when we say the 10 commandments is a mistranslation, people go to the KJV, and well, Moses did not write the King James Version. But in HaTorah, it says Eseret HaDibarim, Aseret HaDibarim, the 10 words. Bamarinya, we have the Aseratu, Aser, 10, Kalat, the 10 words. That Yahweh, he who be, Xavier, the sustainer, spake to you in the mount, out of the midst of the fire. So another point here is that these 10 words, the 10 commandments, very same words that Karmawi, Negus, Neges, Karmawi, Haile Selassie, the conquering line, the tribe of Judah, says the advice to all is to fulfill the 10 words, the 10 commandments. But these 10 words are the words that Yahweh Elohim Ha'am, the Father, spoke, and they heard, right, out of the midst, right, from the mount, out of the midst of the fire, in the day of the assembly. The day of the assembly, the Hebrew church, as Stephen says in Acts of the Apostles, when he says the angel that was with them in the church in the wilderness, the assembly, the gathering, and Yahuwah gave them to me to I. And I turned myself and came down from Hahar, the mount, and put the tables, the tablets in Ha'aron, in the ark that I had made. And there they be, as Yahuwah commanded me. And the Bnei Yisrael, the sons of Israel, took their journey from Be'erot of the children of Yaakan to Mosera. You know, when we say the Masoretic, you hear that, right? You talk about the Masoretic, and people say this and that about the Masoretic, and they'll think that, well, maybe it was the Latter-day Jews that just made up something. Well, here we have the root. Let's bring this out right here. Let's see if we can bring this out right here. Sora, one of the advices to the disciples and going to the Aliyot and different Torah portion reading and feeding. Sometimes the translator has transliterated a Hebrew name or word. And as we study those names and words and the context, it gives us a clearer, a full, as I and I would say, right? So here, studying to shew I and I self-approve, let's go to Mosera. What is Mosera? Mosera right here. So they took their journey, right? Took their journey from Be'erot of the children of Yaakan to Mosera. So let's look up Be'erot. What is Be'erot? From place to place, even the 42 spots, right? The 42 places. What's the significance of these 42 places and spots and campsites of the Bnei Yisrael. Well, here in the beginning was the word, right? So let's go to the word right here. So we have Be'erot. What is Be'erot? Looking at the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, here we have Be'erot. Be'er is a well. Be'erot is wells. Be'er, well. Be'erot, wells. Now, many think of Be'erot to be the same place as Be'er. Be'er. So there's a place called Be'er, or if you look at it in English, it's like beer, Be'erot and beer. But Be'er, Hebraically, some think of Be'erot and Be'er to be the same place. Only that Be'erot is given in the plural. Be'er, a well, Be'erot, wells. Now, it was a city of the Hivites that was assigned to the Israelitish tribe of Benjamin or Benjamin in Joshua chapter 9, verses 17 and chapter 18, verse 25. That's the basic, the plain, the phi cycle. Here's the metaphysical of it, the Hebrew two truths. So the natural sense, Be'er is the well, Be'erot is well. Metaphysically speaking, a congregation, what is wells? What does wells symbolize, right? In the Hebrew commodity, so to speak. A congregation, an aggregation of thoughts about life, about liberty, and its increase in spiritual consciousness. Therefore, wells, the sense of wells and the link with a city, right? A city, a consciousness. Under the Hivites, this city or group of thoughts and consciousness would be of a material character. Black Lives Matter. But it would be elevated to a higher level in passing into the possession of the Benjamites, of Jaman, Benjamites. Benjamin symbolizes active faith. You hear that, Jaman? Active faith and illumination. Now, there is the Be'erot, as we have here, in this Aliyah here for the fourth day, right, of this 46 sabbatical study. We have Be'erot B'nai Ya'akan. Be'erot B'nai Ya'akan, right, or Be'erot of the children of Ya'akan or Ja'akan. Now, in the authorized version, Be'erot of the children of Ya'akan or Ja'akan, Hebraically speaking, the wells of the B'nai, the children, or more specifically, the sons of, the wells of the sons of Ya'akan, wells of the children of the wrestler, bringing out the sense of Ya'akan, the wrestler. So the phi cycle, it was a place where the B'nai Yisrael, the sons of Israel, the children of Israel, they had halted. They halted while journeying, while trotting through the desert, through the Midbar, through the wilderness, on their way to the promised land, according to Devarim, Deuteronomy chapter 10, and Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 6. In Numbers chapter 33, verse 31, it is called B'nai Ya'akan. Simply B'nai Ya'akan, the children, the sons of Ya'akan. Meta phi cycle here. The Hebrew metaphysically speaking, Ya'akan was a Hori, right? Ha-Hori, he was a Horite. In the unredeemed man, the man that's not bought back, purchased back, right? The unredeemed man, the issues of life, the issues, what issuing forward symbolizes the wells, the sense of the Be'erot, are actuated by carnal tendencies. Again, in unredeemed man, humanity, the issues of life and liberty represented by the Be'erot, Hebraically the Be'erot, they are activated and actuated by the carnal, we could say the fleshy, the material, the carnal tendencies and desires that appear to be very, very deep-seated. These are symbolized by the Horites, who were enemies of the Israelites. The Israelites typify, according to type, the true thoughts with their expression in the consciousness and the body, or the carbon organic. In that which Ya'akan signifies, there is a degree of intelligence that works in the sense plane, on the sensual, the sense plane, and helps to open the way, the sense plane, right? Remember the two types of, there were the 5 wise and the 5 foolish. We have our senses, right? Most of us are acquainted with the natural sense, but we have to open them to the higher realm. So in that which Ya'akan, the wrestler, so to speak, signifies, there is a degree of intelligence that works in the sense plane and helps to open the way to a higher realm of thought, to the higher heights, a higher realm of thought, even to the spiritual. By spiritual thinking, the B'nai Yisrael in their highest symbology. So spiritual thinking represents the sons of Israel, of Yisrael, Yasharala, in their highest symbology, in the highest sense. The inner forces of one's being are redeemed from materialism, schism, the material beliefs and practices and malpractices. And they become, in truth, the emet, in the truth, a source of unlimited, never failing, ever present life, liberty, and wholeness and holisticness. We are told in Proverbs chapter 16, verse 22, that, quote, understanding, Bina, is a wellspring of life to him that hath it, right? Or bringing out Proverbs here, Bina, right? She is a wellspring of life to him that hath her, that has her. One more right here, we have Be'eroti, or the Be'erotite, right? One who belongs to Be'erot, to the wells, belonging to the wells, a dweller of the wells. So this was an inhabitant of the Benjamite city of Be'erot, according to 2 Samuel chapter 4, verses 2-9, and 2 Samuel chapter 23, verse 37. It's spelled sometimes with one E, usually with B-E-R, but sometimes with one E, B-E-R-O-T-H-I-T-E, in 1 Chronicles chapter 11, verse 38. So metaphysically speaking, Be'erotite, like one who is of Be'erot, of the wells, Be'erotite, a thought metaphysically belonging to the Be'erot phase of consciousness and of like character to it. So once again, what is the Be'erot phase of consciousness? Well, Be'erot means wells in Hebrew, Be'erot, right? And Be'erot metaphysically represents a congregation, an aggregation, and aggregation of thoughts about life and liberty and its increase in spiritual consciousness, therefore wells. And think about the water, and often Torah, right? Torah is symbolized as water. Robenu, Yeshua, when he spoke about the waters from the belly, speaking about that Torah. The wells, also a city, right? Linking with consciousness. Under the Hivites, former inhabitants, this city or this group of thoughts and consciousness would be of a material character, but it would be elevated to higher heights, to a higher level, once it passed into the possession of the Benjamites. And the Benjamites, right, amongst the 12 tribes, represent the active faith. Ben, son of Yamin, right hand, the son of the right hand, Ben Yamin, Binyam, right? Active faith and illumination. So the text here for day 4, Wisdom Wednesday, here on the podcast, verse 6 of chapter 10, which comprises this 4th day's Aliyah, an Aliyah day from the Torah reading and feeding this 46th sabbatical study for Shabbat, Ikeb, for Senbet and Dihim, Yehonah, like this it shall be. Verse 6 says, and the B'nai Yisrael, the sons of Israel, took their journey. They trod from Be'erot of the B'nai Yakan, of the children of Yakan or Jakan, to Mosera. So what is Mosera? And what is the link with this expression, Masoretic? Masoretic, right? Now, of course, the vowels do change, right? According to we call this the bin yanim, yanim, not yamin. Yamin, for M, that's yamin is right hand, but yanim is building. Ben yanim, the building, according to Hebrew construction. Let's go to the groundation here, Moserah. So we have it in the KJV here as Moserah, but in the KJV is actually without the final H, right? So the authorized versions, if you look in your Bible at Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 6, and if it's a KJV Bible and it has no H there, that's most likely the AV, the authorized version. And in the revised version, they may have updated that with the H, but the Hebraically has the H. Moserah. What is Moserah? Hebraically, Moserah, right, is a bond, a band. It can be a fetter, a yoke, a chain harness, but also Moserah represents correction, chastisement, discipline or discipleship, admonition, reproof. Example, also precept, instruction, and learning. When Yeshua says, take my what? Take my yoke. When Robbeinu Yeshua HaNotzri, Jesus of Nazareth, the King of Kings Christ says, take my yoke. When Robbeinu Einai Rabbi says, take my yoke, take my discipline, this bond, Moserah, bond, band, fetter, a yoke, chain harness. But here in the secondary of the Hebrew two truths, Moserah, as it can be a bond, a band, a fetter, or a yoke, as Moshe says, take my yoke upon thee. Also correction, chastisement, right? So chastisement and discipline is one and the same thing. But we can see that discipline, right, discipleship may be a easier form, but sometimes more discipline is like chastisement, but basically it's the same word. It's like two sides of the same coin. Admonition, reproof. But Moserah brings out the sense of an example. So correction is also an example, right? A discipline is also a precept. And from this precept, we get instruction. And from this instruction, we learn. So therefore, just linking Hebraically the spirit, right, of the word, not just the letter of the law, but the spirit, the ruach, right, of the oath. A camping place of the Bnei Yisrael Bamidbar. So Moserah, what was Moserah? Moserah was a camping place, one of the 42 spots of the Bnei Yisrael Bamidbar, in the wilderness. It was there. Why is Moserah so important and significant? Because it was there at Moserah that Aaron died and was buried. And his son, Eleazar became high priest, Kohen Gadol, became that anointed high priest, Kohen Gadol. He becomes Eleazar, in that sense, will become the second Hebrew Christ in the camp, because Aaron was the first anointed, and now it passed forth to Beno. Eleazar, his son, becomes high priest in his stead. We have Deuteronomy here, chapter 10, verse 6. Metaphysically speaking, Moserah, what is Moserah? Moserah, metaphysically, according to Hebrew metaphysics, it represents the seeming trial. This brings out the spirit of the word chastisement. Moserah and bondage. This brings out the bond, the fetter, spirit of the word. That the Christian, that the so-called Christian and even the Nazarene remains so long as he has only an intellectual comprehension of the divine law, the divine Torah. Again, Moserah, metaphysically speaking, metaphysically speaking, brings out the spirit of the Hebrew word, the seeming trial, chastisement, and bondage, the bond, the fetter. In that the Christianoi, the Christian, in that the Nazarene remains so long as he or she has only only having an intellectual comprehension of the divine law, of the divine Torah, the divine instruction, direction, the teaching of his majesty. To such a one, Hebrews chapter 12, verse 6, it reads, whom Adonai loveth, he chasteneth. Whom Yahweh Jehovah loveth, he chasteneth. Instead of whom Adonai loves, he disciplines. So I've seen different versions. Some versions brings out the sense of whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth. And of course, you hear that word chasten. If you have an understanding of that word, you're like, oh my gosh, all right? But the translator and the spirit of the word, the same word can also be translated as whom Adonai loves, he disciplines. As you say, discipline, right, is the basic side of the coin, but then when he has to flip it on his disciple, then that discipline can be more as chastisement. But as it said, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So it's also how one beholds. This is why this is a good area here, Mesorah, looking at Mesorah, right? As we look at the Masoretic, right? Here looking at Mesorah. So Mesorah is a seeming trial, chastisement, and bondage, the bond, the fetter, in that the Nazarene or even the latter-day Christian remains so long as he or she has only an intellectual comprehension of the divine law, of the divine Torah, divine direction, instruction. To such a one, Hebrews 12 and 6, it reads, whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth. Instead of whom the Lord loves, he disciplines, he disciples. The latter one, whom the Lord loves, he disciplines. The latter is really the correct rendering, from the Hebrew, according to the emphatic diaglot. Looking at the emphatic diaglot for those who in the linguistic science are studying. But according to the peshat of the Hebrew, that is the more correct, right? Whom Yahweh Jehovah loves, he disciplines. But there's still two sides of the coin. Divine love must enter into man's idea of Elohim. Divine, the higher love must enter into man, into the human being's idea, that seed, that idea of Hailahim, of the Elohim. And the divine law, the divine Torah, the divine direction, instruction, and must fill his life, fill his liberty, so that he may find in all correction and in all discipline of spirit only joy and delight. Again, divine love, the higher love, must enter into man's idea, humanity's idea of Ha-Elohim, of Hailahim, of the Elohim, the true good, the true God, the Netcher of Netchers, and the divine law, the Torah, the direction, instruction, and must fill his life. What is meant to fulfill, right? Fill his life, his liberty, so that he may find in all correction and discipline of spirit of the Ruach only joy and delight, and that he may know, have the knowledge, the gnosis, may know sickness and sorrow to be the direct result of his own errors. Now, this I know is a hard one for many ones and ones, but this is looking at humanity in general and I and I as disciples in particular. Such unpleasant manifestations will pass away as soon as the errors that cause them are corrected. For example, the verse in Hebrews, right? The Lord loves, he chasteneth. The Lord loves, he disciples, he disciplines. So such unpleasant manifestation will pass away as soon as the errors that cause them are corrected. They are not chastisements sent by Hailahim, by Elohim, nor do they come from Elohim. Thus, Aaron, he symbolizes the intellectual understanding, overstanding, ahiron, symbolizes the intellectual understanding and the executive power of the divine law of the divine Torah must give way to a higher and more spiritual, spiritual, metaphysical comprehension of ha'emet, of the truth. Then we have right here Mosera. Then there's also Moserot. You might come across Moserot, Moserroth in the KJV, Moserot. Also having the meaning of one, Mosera is singular and Moserot is plural. So Mosera, bond, here we have Moserot, bonds, fetters, yokes, corrections, chastisements, reproofs, precepts, instructions. So we have the same place as Mosera in Devarim, Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 6, we have Mosera. But then in Numbers chapter 33, verse 30, we have Moserot. So we have the plural, the singular, and the plural. This is both speaking of the same place, both speaking of the same spot. So here. Looking at the time rate, 21 minutes, we're going to the grace period. But just to bring this out right here, still in Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 6, fourth day Aliyah, just reasoning on today's Aliyah and Aliyah a day, finite sabbatical studies. The Bnei Yisrael took their journey from Be'erot of the Bnei Yakan to Mosera. There Aharon died, and there he was buried, and Eleazar, they know his son, ministered in the priest's office in his stead. From there, they journeyed to Gudgodah. What does Gudgodah mean? And from Gudgodah to Yotbat or Jatbat, a land of rivers of water. At that time, Yahuwah separated. It was at that time, Moshe testifies here, that Jehovah separated the tribe of Levi, to do what? To bear the Aron HaBrit, to bear the Ark of the Covenant of Yahuwah, of Jehovah, to stand Lifnei Yahuwah, to stand before Jehovah, to minister to him, and to bless, to Baruch Shemo, to bless his name to this day. Verse 9. Wherefore Levi hath no part nor inheritance with his brethren. Jehovah is his inheritance, according as Yahuwah Eloheka, Jehovah thy Elohim, promised him. And I stayed in Hahar, Moses here testifying here, 10:10, Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 10. And I stayed in Hahar in the mount according to the first time, 40 days and 40 nights. And Yahuwah Jehovah hearkened to me, at that time also. And Yahuwah would not destroy thee. Here, just to seal up right here. And Yahuwah said to me, arise, take journey, take thy tribe, take journey before the people, that they may go in and possess the land that he swore to their patriarchs, patriarchs, to give to them. So this word here, if he take delight, right? Take delight. It's interesting because in the fifth aliyah coming up for new light, verse 15, it says, only Jehovah had a delight in thy fathers, thy patriarchs, to love them. And he chose their seed, their race, I after them, even you above all people, as it is this day. And this is an interesting verse 16. People talk about circumcision. He talked about our brother, Rabbi Shaul, a.k.a. Hawaria Paulos, Paul this, Pauline that. Yeah, I get it, because you only have a Torah groundation. Truly, because here we have in verse 16, circumcise therefore the foreskin of your heart. So wait, Jah is saying here in the fifth aliyah in Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 15, that I is to circumcise therefore the foreskin of our heart.
and to be no more stiff-necked. So from the Torah groundation, we have it coming to the fullness of the circumcision, even in the Brit Chadasha sense, even in the New Covenant sense. This makes sense.
Glory to the Most High Jah, Rastafari, King of Kings, Lords of Lords, conquering Lion of the tribe of Judah, elect of God, light of the world, is His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie. Protect my son David as he traveled this lonely path. Steer my son far from bloody men who surround him with opinions sharp as daggers. Bless him with a vision to distinguish friends from foes. Bless his listeners with overstanding and patience. Remind the critics that all judgment belongs to thee. May the words of thy mouth and the meditation of thy heart be acceptable in thy presence. Selah.
Yes. This will be thorough right here. So we focus on the fourth aliyah. Fourth aliyah begins at Deuteronomy chapter 10, first verse to verse 11. But here, we have good godah. Good godah. What is good godah? Just be thorough right here. Good godah. Right? Good godah is an incision, a cutting. Good godah. Right? Good godah. Good godah, a cleaving, pulsating like a vibration. I know that it's thunder bass. He says thunder bass, so that bass, the vibration is a good godah. Pulsating. Good godah. Reverberating. Also, good godah is thundering, right? In another sense of the spirit of the Hebrew, it can be like something fortunate or prosperous, happy, well of much water. Also, a good godah, right? Negwedgwad. And it matches also the Ethiopic hark as well. But here for the Hebrew, good godah. Because they went from good godah. Good godah is a place in which the Bnei Yisrael, the Israelites, camp in the Midbar, the wilderness, on their way to the promised land, to that state of mind in the Brit Chadasha. Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 7. Metaphysically speaking, it's liquid, but it's talawa. Good godah, a further cutting or cleaving away from consciousness of the remains of the Mitzrayim, disillumination and ignorance of Yahweh, that more abundantly vitality and wholeness, a sense of well of much water. This signifies the life force, good godah, and happiness may be realized by the individual, the indivisible dual, who has started out on his conscious journey toward perfection. But good godah, it's in good godah, it's like the thunder, the thundering, right? One application of the good godah is the thundering, as was the thunderings. You remember on Har Sinai, they heard all the thunderings and how they were afraid when they heard the good godah. Good godah. Good God, good godah. And the bass, thunder bass drum, the vibration. So they journeyed from good godah in verse 7, right? It says, from thence they journeyed from good godah, good godah to Yotbat, a land of rivers of waters, water. Remember that from the Hebrew perspective, Torah, right? Torah is likened to water.
right? God's direction, instruction, the flow, the Torah. So we have Jotba, right? And Jotbata. Jotba, Jotbah, and Jotbata, Jotbathaa. Now here we have Jotbat, right here in the KJV, but look at the metaphysically, Jotbat or Yotba. What is Yotba? Right? Yotba is goodness, healthfulness. Right? Ebat, Oba, right? Ethiopia, Tobia, right? Goodness, healthfulness, beauty, comeliness, pleasantness, excellence. So here in Jotba, we have right here the home of Haruz, father of Meshulemet, the wife of Manasseh, mother of Ammon, two kings of Yehuda, 2 Kings 21:19. Jotba is thought to be the same as Yotbata of Numbers chapter 33, verse 33, Numbers 3:3, and Deuteronomy 10:7. Metaphysically speaking, Yotba, a consciousness of refreshing waters of life, of liberty and truth and reality. This is indeed pleasant, Yotba, and good, Tob, Yotba, Tob, Tawab, and healthful. Secondarily, we have Yotba. Here we have Yotbata. In the authorized version, in Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 7, it says Jotbat or Yotbat. Right? Yotbat. Remember the Tob, Tawab. Tob is at the root. So goodness, Tob, Tawab, healthfulness, beauty, comeliness, pleasantness, excellence. So at Yotbata, a camping place, one of the 42 places of the Bnei Yisrael in the Midbar in the wilderness. Numbers 33:33. And from Gudgodah to Yotbata, a land of brooks of water. Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 7. Fly cycle here from low degrees to high degrees, metaphysically speaking. Like Yotba, a place in consciousness where the waters of life, of liberty and truth flow freely and refresh the whole consciousness, the holistic consciousness of man, the soul, hanefesh. This excellent, healthful, and good experience is always realized after one goes through a period of letting go of error. So this, metaphysically speaking, this excellent, this helpful, this good experience that Yotbata represents is always realized after one goes through a period of letting go error and disillumination, disenlightenment, darkness, such as is symbolized by Gudgodah. From that place, the Bnei Yisrael journeyed to Yotbata. So here, it has a link for Gudgodah. So once again, right here.
Psalm 95. Oh, come, let us sing unto the Lord. Let us make a joyful noise to the rock of our salvation. Let us come before his presence with thanksgiving and make a joyful noise unto him with psalms. For the Lord is a great God and a great King above all gods. In his hand are the deep places of the earth. The strength of the hills is his also. The sea is his, and he made it, and his hands formed the dry land. Oh, come, let us worship and bow down. Let us kneel before the Lord our Maker. For he is our God, and we are the people of his pasture, and the sheep of his hand. Today, if ye will hear his voice, harden not your heart as in the provocation, and as in the day of temptation in the wilderness. When your fathers tempted me, proved me, and saw my work. 40 years long was I grieved with this generation, and said, it is a people that do err in their heart, and they have not known my ways. Unto whom I swear in my wrath, that they should not enter into my rest. Psalm 95. Psalm 95. Oh, come, let us sing unto the Lord. Let us make a joyful noise to the rock of our salvation. Psalm 95.
መዝሙር 94 በቅንፍ 95 የዳዊት የምስጋና መዝሙር። ኑ በእግዚአብሔር ደስ ይበለን፣ ለአምላክ ለመድኃኒታችን እልል እንበል። በምስጋና ወደፊቱ እንድረስ፣ በዝማሬም ለእርሱ እልል እንበል። እግዚአብሔር ታላቅ አምላክ ነውና፣ በአማልክትም ሁሉ ላይ ታላቅ ንጉሥ ነው። እግዚአብሔር ሕዝቡን አይጥላቸው፣ የምድር ዳርቻዎችም በእጁ ውስጥ ናቸው። የተራሮች ከፍታዎች የእርሱ ናቸው፣ ባህር የእርሱ ናት፣ እርሱም አደረገ። የብስንም እጆቹ ሰሯል። ኑ እንስገድ፣ ለእርሱም እንገዛ። በእርሱ ባደረገን በእግዚአብሔር ፊት እንንበርከክ። እርሱ አምላካችን ነውና፣ እኛ የማሰማሪያው ሕዝብ የእጁም በጎች ነንና። በምድረ በዳ እንደተፈታተኑት እንዳስቆጡት ጊዜ ዛሬ ድምፁን ብትሰሙ ልባችሁን አታጡ። የተፈታተኑኝ አባቶቻችሁ ፈተኑኝ፣ ስራዬንም አዩ። ያችን ትውልድ 40 ዓመት ተቆጥቻት ነበር። ሁል ጊዜ ልባቸው እነርሱም መንገዴን አላወቁም ማለት ወደ ረፍቴም እንዳይገቡ በቁጣዬ ማለት።
For with stammering lips and another tongue, for with stammering lips and another tongue, for with stammering lips and stammering lips and stammering lips and stammering lips, for with stammering lips and another tongue, and another tongue to this priest, speak to this priest, speak to this priest, speak to this priest. For with stammering lips and another tongue will he speak to this people, to whom he said, this is the rest wherewith he may cause the weary to rest, and this is the refreshing.
Let us make a joyful noise to the rock of I salvation. Besam'ah weweled wemenfes kedus ahadu amlak. Besam'ah weweled wemenfes kedus ahadu amlak. Ahadu amlak. Ahadu amlak. Today's daily psalm, according to the Royal Order of the Ethiopian Hebrews, we have from the Mezmor Dawit, Psalms of David, from the Authorized, Revised, and Amharic Bible of Karmawi Haile Selassie, from the Book of the Seven Seals of the Conquering Line, the tribe of the root of David, we have Psalm 95, Zetna Amist, Yedawit, Miskana Mezmor, of David, praise, thanksgiving, Mezmor, a psalm, an intonation, a chant. Nu be'egziavir desibelen, le amlaka le medchanetachin, elilin bel. Oh, come, let us make I sing to Egziavihar. Nu be'egziavihar desibelen. Let us make a joyful noise to the rock of I salvation. Le amlak le medchanetachin elilin bel. Elilin bel. Neural Amharic, as we compare the HSV Haile Selassie version and the KJV here. The HSV Haile Selassie version favors the Septuagint, the LXX, with the Amlak to the source, the Medchanetachin to I Savior, I salvation, I Savior, Elilta in the bell. Let us say Elilta. Let us exalt, let us joy. Nu, come, y'all. Nu, be Exavi Herdesi belen. Le Amlak le Medchanetachin, Elil in the bell. Be Miskana with a fitu in the dress. Be Zamarema Lersu Lilin Bell. Let us for his presence with thanksgiving. Be Miskana with a fitu in the dress. Be Zamarema Lersu Lilin Bell. And make a joyful noise to him with psalms, with chants. Be Zamarem. Be Zamare, Be Zamareim, and with chant intonation, Be Zamareim, Le Ersu, Elelin Bel, Exavi Her Talak Amlak no winna, Baamalektim Hululai Talak and Goose no winna. For Exavi Her, the sustainer, the good, the generous Father, is a great source. Exavi Her Talak Amlak no winna. And a great king, a great negus above all gods. Be amalektim hululai talak negus nawina. Exavi hera hizbuna ait alachuim. Ye mider dachao chimma be juist nacho. Ye tararocha kaftawocha ersu nacho. In his hand are the deep places of the earth. The strength of the hills is his also. Interesting right here, what I'm noticing right here, it might be what we're reading right here. Let us just check this out right here. Let's take a pause, right, at this particular verse right here, because Bamarinya is in Amharic, there's a little bit more than we're seeing in this. It says, in his hand are the deep places of the earth. The strength of the hills is also his. But there's a verse, there's a part of a line of a verse that is not there. Let's look at the Sefer Tehillim. It's probably in the Septuagint. Yeah, because here it says this right here. It says, Exavi, the sustainer, Hizbun, Ait Elachuim, that the sustainer, the good, the generous Ab will not cast off or cast away, has not cast off his people. Exavia, Hizbun, Ait Elachuim. Then it reads as the KJV translation reads, Yemidar Dachawo Chimma Beju Nacho, Yetararoch Katawoch Yarsu Nacho. In his hand are the deep places of the earth. The strength of the hills is his also. Kutaramis, verse 5. Bahir Yarsunat, Arsuma Daragat, Yebusinim, Ijochu Saruat. The sea is his. Bahir Yarsunat. And he made it. Arsuma Daragat. And his hands form the dry land. Yebusinima Ijochu Saruat. No. In the Seged, the Arsuma in the Gaza, the Arsua Badaragena Begziavir Fita in the Barakek. Oh, come, let us worship and bow down. No, in the Seged, the Arsum in the Gaza, the Arsua Badaragena Begziavir Fita in the Barakek. Let us kneel. Let us kneel before Egziavi Her, before the sustainer, the good, the generous Ab, Father, our Maker. Arsu Amlakachinawina. For he is our source. For he is our God, and we are the people of his pasture and the sheep of his hand. Today, if y'all will hear his voice, Arsuam la tachinawina. Inya, yeah, ma Samaria, his, yeah, Juma begochin. በምድረ በዳ እንደተፈታተኑት እንዳስቆጡት ጊዜ ዛሬ ድምፁን ብትሰሙ ልባችሁን አታጽኑ። Harden not your heart, as in the day, as in the provocation, as in the day of temptation in the wilderness. በምድረ በዳ እንደተፈታተኑት እንዳስቆጡት ጊዜ ዛሬ ድምፁን ብትሰሙ ልባችሁን አታጽኑ። የተፈታተኑኝ አባቶቻችሁ ፈተኑኝ ሠራዬንም አዩ። When your fathers tempted me, tempted I and proved I, and saw my work. የተፈታተኑኝ አባቶቻችሁ ፈተኑኝ ሠራዬንም አዩ። ያችን ትውልድ 40 ዓመት ተቆጥቻት ነበር። ሁልጊዜ ልባቸው ይስታል፣ እነርሱም መንገዴን አላወቁም አልሁ። 40 years long was I grieved with this generation. ያችን ትውልድ 40 ዓመት ተቆጥቻት ነበር, and said, it is a people that do err in their heart, and they have not known my ways. ሁልጊዜ ልባቸው ይስታል፣ እነርሱም መንገዴን አላወቁም አልሁ። ወደ ዕረፍቴም እንዳይገቡ በቁጣዬ ማልሁ. To whom I swear in my wrath, my wrathedness, that they should not enter into my rest. ወደ ዕረፍቴም እንዳይገቡ በቁጣዬ ማልሁ 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 ማልሁ.
I'm gonna go back there. I'm gonna go back there. Oh, where they came from. Oh, yes, I've got to go back there. Oh, I've got to go back there. Where they came from.
መዝሙር 94 በቅንፍ 95 የዳዊት የምስጋና መዝሙር። ኑ በእግዚአብሔር ደስ ይበለን፣ ለአምላክ ለመድኃኒታችን እልል እንበል። በምስጋና ወደፊቱ እንድረስ፣ በዝማሬም ለእርሱ እልል እንበል። እግዚአብሔር ታላቅ አምላክ ነውና፣ በአማልክትም ሁሉ ላይ ታላቅ ንጉሥ ነውና። እግዚአብሔር ሕዝቡን አይጥላቸው፣ የምድር ዳርቻዎችም በእጁ ውስጥ ናቸው። የተራሮች ከፍታዎች የእርሱ ናቸው፣ ባህር የእርሱ ናት፣ እርሱም አደረገ። የብስንም እጆቹ ሠሯት። ኑ እንስገድ፣ ለእርሱም እንገዛ። በእርሱ ባደረገን በእግዚአብሔር ፊት እንንበርከክ። እርሱ አምላካችን ነውና፣ እኛ የማስተማሪያው ሕዝብ የእጁም በጎች ነንና። በምድረ በዳ እንደተፈታተኑት እንዳስቆጡት ጊዜ ዛሬ ድምፁን ብትሰሙ ልባችሁን አታጽኑ። የተፈታተኑኝ አባቶቻችሁ ፈተኑኝ፣ ሥራዬንም አዩ። ያችን ትውልድ 40 ዓመት ተቆጥቻት ነበር። ሁል ጊዜ ልባቸው ይስታል፣ እነርሱም መንገዴን አላወቁም ማለት። ወደ ዕረፍቴም እንዳይገቡ በቁጣዬ ማለት።
Psalm 95. Oh, come, let us sing unto the Lord. Let us make a joyful noise to the rock of our salvation. Let us come before his presence with thanksgiving and make a joyful noise unto him with songs. For the Lord is a great God and a great King above all gods. In his hand are the deep places of the earth. The strength of the hills is his also. The sea is his, and he made it, and his hands formed the dry land. Oh, come, let us worship and bow down. Let us kneel before the Lord our Maker. For he is our God, and we are the people of his pasture and the sheep of his hand. Today, if ye will hear his voice, harden not your heart as in the provocation and as in the day of temptation in the wilderness. When your fathers tempted me, proved me, and saw my work. 40 years long was I grieved with this generation, and said, it is a people that do err in their heart, and they have not known my ways. Unto whom I swear in my wrath that they should not enter into my rest, 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 rest.
So people still searching for this truth here, which this reggae music, bring across to them, and the only purpose it serves is to tell the people about Rastafari.
Everything takes time.
For with stammering lips and another tongue, for with stammering lips and another tongue, for with stammering lips and stammering lips and stammering lips.
מזמור צדהה. לכו נרננה לאדוני, נריע לצור ישענו. נקדמה פניו בתודה, בזמירות נריע לו. כי אל גדול אדוני, ומלך גדול על כל אלוהים. אשר בידו מחקרי ארץ, ותועפות הרים לו. אשר לא הים והוא עשהו, ויבשת ידיו יצרו. בואו נשתחווה ונכרע, נברכה לפני אדוני עושנו. כי הוא אלוהינו, ואנחנו עם מרעיתו וצאן ידו. היום, אם בקולו תשמעו, אל תקשו לבבכם כמריבה, כיום מסע במדבר, אשר ניסוני אבותיכם, בחנוני, גם ראו פועלי. 40 שנה אקוט בדור ואומר, עם טועה לבבהם, והם לא ידעו דרכי, אשר נשבעתי ואפי, אם יבואון אל מנוחתי.
Besem Ab, Wawelid, Wamenfes, Kadus, Ahadu, Amlak. Today's daily psalm, according to the royal order of the Ethiopian Hebrews, is Psalm Zetna Mist, Psalm 95, Yedawit, Miskana Mezmur. Yedawit, Miskana Mezmur. Also themed as Ye'eletu Mezmur, or a daily psalm. Judaically speaking, yes, it's a call to Yisrael to worship. So looking at the Royal Amharic and the Hebrew and also the KJV right here, we have the Tzedai, right? The Tzedai Hey, right? Tzedai Hey Psalm. Psalm XCV, Psalm 95, a call to Yisrael to worship. Now the group of 6 psalms, beginning with the present and having the XCII, or Psalm 93, as a prelude, is a rapturous expression of joy in Egaziavi, the sustainer, the good, the generous Ab, and Ha Elohim, the true good, the true God service, such as would have appropriately come from the Israelites who were reunited. The reunion with Sion, with Zion, after the absence occasioned by the Babylonian exile, the exile in Babylon. And we're speaking here mainly of the black Jews, the black and brown Yehudi, of the Jews. Let's recognize the Yehudi, the Judeans, because they were in Babylon. The 10 tribes had been taken away by the Assyrians and scattered through the nations. It was the Yehudi, the Judahites, like we, the black Jews of the line of the tribe of Judah, that had returned and reunited with Sion, with Zion. In that period, these psalms is said to have probably been composed, and it's noteworthy that the LXX, or the Septuagint, has the heading, when the house was built after the captivity, attached to Psalm XCVI, or to Psalm 96. So what we have is the group of 6 psalms, and these 6 psalms are regular recital psalms, Judaically speaking, right? Having 93rd Psalm as a prelude. So in Psalm 96, let's look at this right here in the HSV Haile Selassie version, and it says, Kamerko bechala beita betasara gizeh. That's the superscription, like the LXX, the Septuagint, for Psalm 96. The next in this series. Today's daily psalm is 95, but getting a good context so we can give praise with understanding, understanding, and overstanding. So a change of tone is unmistakably clear and evident in the last clause of verse 7, extending to the end of the psalm. There's a warning. A warning note is struck, which, according to some expositors, has no relevance to the opening theme. And they hold that the psalm consists of 2 fragments which were joined together. So we get to verse 7, right? Verse 7, where it says, "For he is our God, he is our Elohim, Kihu Eloheinu, and we are the people of his pasture and the flock of his hand. Today, Hayom, today, Ima Bekolo, if his voice, Tishma'u, if y'all would but hearken to his voice, Hayom, Ima Bekolo, Tishma'u, today, Hayom, today, if y'all would but hearken to his voice." So some say that has been kind of inserted and perhaps with another fragment, because seemingly it doesn't seem to go with the first part of today's daily psalm, a call to Yisrael, to Israel, the man who sees the true good, the true God, Yasharel, the upright of the true good, the true God. Now, in the commentary, it will be shown that the 2 sections of today's daily psalm, they reinforce each other. From the 17th century psalms, we have Psalm 95 to Psalm 99 and Psalm 29 from the 17th century. They were included in the Jewish Judaic liturgy, the Kadase, the Kaddish, for the inauguration, rephrase, for the initiation, for the starting, for the beginning of Yom HaShabbat, the Senbet Ken of the Sabbath. So we have from the 17th century, Psalms 95 to Psalm 99, and Psalm 29 included in the Judaic liturgy for the initiation, the beginning, the start of HaShabbat, the Sabbath. Quote, "It may be the first reciters of this psalm on a Friday evening thought of the rest, which HaShabbat, the Sabbath, was about to bring those who, so far from murmuring against Geziaria, the sustainer, the good, the generous Av, Ha-Elohim, the true good, the true God, they were filled with the love of him and of his ordinance and of Jah order." So today's daily psalm, according to the royal order of the Ethiopian Hebrews and after the order of Malachiah Tzedek, Psalm 95. Call to Yisrael to worship. The Midrash teaching, right, and commentary connects the psalm with the Sabbath in another way. So the psalm has a sabbatical connection, even in this time, in this season, the connection with Hanukkah, in the time and in the season. What's the connection? In verse 7, it says, "For he is our source, for he is our God. Ersu amlakachinawinna, for he is our." Y'all and I ourselves, I remind the people not to rebel against Rastafari. Yes, a call. Many are called. What are you choosing?
Are ye not as children of the Ethiopians unto me, O children of Israel, O children of Israel? Are ye not as children of the Ethiopians? Many
are calling, no? Many are called, but few are choosing. Many are called, but few are choosing. I was called, and I was choosing. It's funny, but it's true.
My advice to all is to fulfill the 10 commandments.
לכו נרננה לאדוני, נריע לצור ישענו, נקדמה פניו בתודה, בזמירות נריע לו. כי אל גדול אדוני, ומלך גדול על כל אלוהים, אשר בידו מחקרי ארץ, ותועפות הרים לו, אשר לא הים והוא עשהו, ויבשת ידיו יצרו. בואו נשתחווה ונכרע, נברכה לפני אדוני עושנו, כי הוא אלוהינו, ואנחנו עם מרעיתו וצאן ידו. היום אם בקולו תשמעו, אל תקשו לבבכם כמריבה, כיום מסע במדבר, אשר ניסוני אבותיכם, בחנוני, גם ראו פועלי. 40 שנה אקוד בדור ואומר, עם טועה לבבהם, והם לא ידעו דרכי, אשר נשבעתי ואפי, אם יבואון אל מנוחתי.
Psalm 95. Oh, come, let us sing unto the Lord. Let us make a joyful noise to the rock of our salvation. Let us come before his presence with thanksgiving and make a joyful noise unto him with songs. The Lord is a great God and a great King above all gods. In his hand are the deep places of the earth. The strength of the hills is his also. The sea is his, and he made it, and his hands formed the dry land. Oh, come, let us worship and bow down. Let us kneel before the Lord our Maker. For he is our God, and we are the people of his pasture, and the sheep of his hand. Today, if you will hear his voice, harden not your heart as in the provocation, and as in the day of temptation in the wilderness. Your fathers tempted me, proved me, and saw my work. 40 years long was I grieved with this generation, and said, it is a people that do err in their heart, and they have not known my ways. Unto whom I swear in my wrath that they should not enter into my rest, 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 rest,
Many are calling, no? Many are calling before I choose them.
He's more Adai. Hey, Psalm 95, Psalm XCV. He's more Adai. Hey, Leku, Ni'ana, La Yahuwah, Na'ri'ah, Letzor, Yishain. Oh, come, y'all. Leku, let us make I sing to he who be, who he be. Leku, Ni'ana, La Yahuwah. Let us make I shout for joy. Naria, to the rock of our salvation. Letzor Yishain. Leku, Ni'ana, La Yahuwah. Na'ri'ah, Letzor Yishain. Here, first verse of Mizmor Sadai. Hey, oh come, Let us make I sing to Jehovah. Let us make I shout for joy to the rock of I salvation. Liku rana layo na ria for ishainu. Elsewhere, this is what Scripture says. Sing, O daughter of Sion, O daughter of Zion. Shout, O Israel. Be glad and rejoice with all thy heart, O daughter of Jerusalem. Even here in Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 14. And here in here in Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 14. Ani bat Sion, hari'u Israel, simachi ve'alzi ve'kol alev bata Yerushalayim. Sing, O daughter of Zion, Rani bata Sion, speaking to she, Rani bata Sion. Shout, hari'u, O Israel, hari'u Israel. All y'all, Israel, hari'u Israel. Simchi, be glad, speaking to she, Simchi ve'alzi, speaking to she, be glad and rejoice. Simchi ve'alzi, Simchi ve'alzi. B'kol with all thy heart. B'kol lev. Bata Yerushalayim, O daughter, Bat Yerushalayim of Jerusalem. Rani Bata Sion, Hari'u Israel, Simachia ve'alziya b'kol lev, Bata Yerushalayim. Lama, why? Because the Lord hath taken away thy judgments. He hath cast out thine enemy. Here, Zephaniah. Here, Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 15. Heisir Yahuwah Misha Patayik Pina Oivaik. He who be hath taken away. Heisir Yahuwah, Heisir thy judgments, speaking to she. Misha Patayik, thy judgments. Heisir Misha Patayik. He hath cast out thine enemy. Bina oivek. Heisir Yahuwah Misha Patayik. Bina oivek. He who be have taken away thy judgments. He hath cast out thine enemy. At the fall of Harasha, at the fall of Harishaim, at the fall of the ratchet ones fall. Everyone shouts for joy. Thus it is said even in Isaiah chapter 14, verses 5 to 6. The Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked, the scepter of the rulers, that smote the peoples in wrath. Shavar Yahuwah Matei Rishaim, Shaveta Mishlim, Shaveta Moshlim, Makeh Amima Be Evra. He who be hath broken. Shavar Yahuwah, Shavar Yahuwah, Jehovah hath broken. Matei Rishaim, the staff, the Matei of the Rishaim, of the ratchet ones. Shabar Yahuwah Matei Rishaim, Shaveta Moshlim, the scepter of the rulers. Shevet Moshlim, that smote the peoples in wrath. Makeh Amim Be'evrah, that smote the peoples Be'evrah. Shabari Yahuwah Matei Rishaim, Shaveta Moshlim, Makeh Amim Be'evrah. And what verse follows? The verse that follows is, the whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing.
Here, Yeshayahu, Isaiah, chapter 14, verse 7. Naha shakatah kol haaretz patchurina. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. Naha shakatah kol haaretz. They break forth. Patzahu. They break forth. Patzahu. Rina. They break forth into Rina. They break forth into singing. Naha shakatah kol haaretz patzahu Rina. Again, Hayel Elohim said, the true good, the true God said in Ezekiel chapter 35, verse 14, when the whole earth rejoices, I will make thee desolate. When the whole earth rejoices, I will make thee desolate. Ko hamar Adonai Yehovah kisa moach kol haaretz shmama lak. Thus, like this saith Adonai Yahweh. Thus saith Adonai, he who be, who he be. Ko hamar Adonai Yehovah. When the whole earth rejoices. When the whole earth rejoices. Kismawach kol haaretz. I will make thee desolate. Shemama lak. Ko hamar Adonai Yehovah Kismawach kol haaretz. Shemama lak. Matai, when will the earth rejoice? When I make thee Edom, desolate. When I make thee Edom, desolate. And thus, and like this also, upon the conclusion of the previous psalm, namely Psalm 94, verse 23, Mizmor Sadai Dalet, Psalm XCIV, Psalm 94, the conclusion, and he hath brought upon them their own iniquity, and he hath brought upon them their own iniquity. Vayasher Eleihem Eta Onam, and he hath brought upon them their own iniquity. Vayasher Eleihem Eta Onam, Eta Evonam. The next psalm, the next Mizmor Sadai Hey. It begins at once with the words, "Oh come, let us make I and I sing to he who be, who he be. Make I and I sing to Jehovah. Leku ne'ranna la Yahuwah." Oh come, y'all. Leku ne'ranna. Make I and I sing in shrilling and singing and ringing, shrilling tones. Ne'ranna. Leku ne'ranna la Yahuwah. To Jehovah. So too, Scripture says, even in the Mashal, in the Proverbs, in Mishlei Shlomo, in the Proverbs of Solomon, Proverbs 11 and 10, when it goeth well with the righteous, the city rejoiceth, and when the wicked perish, there is joy. B'tuva tzadikim ata elot tzakirya. When it goeth well with the righteous, the city rejoiceth. And when the wicked, when the wretched perish, there is joy. Rina, Bituba Sadikimat, Ha Elot, Kaya, Uaba Evod Rishaim, Rina. Let us come before his presence with a vowel. Here, today's Psalm Mizmor Sarai Hey, Psalm 95, Psalm XCV, Here. Make I come before his presence with a vow, with thanksgiving. Ne adma fanayo de toda. Make I come before his presence, his face, his perception, de toda, with a vowel, with thanksgiving. Nikadma fanayo de toda. A vowel, de toda, a vowel of faith is greater than offerings. De toda, a vow, a vowing, a vow, thanksgiving. De toda is greater than offerings. So Jonah said, even in Jonah 2:10, but I will sacrifice to the eye with the voice, the voca, with the voice of a vowel. And here, Jonah. According to KJV, it will be Jonah chapter 2, verse 9. Full of verse that reads, but I will sacrifice to thee with the voice of thanksgiving, with a vowel. I will pay that I have vowed. Salvation is of the Lord. Vani b'kol toda ezibachalak asher nadarti shalema yeshuata layahuah. Here, Jonah chapter 2, here at verse 9. But I will sacrifice to the eye with the voice of thanksgiving. But I will sacrifice the eye with the voice of thanksgiving. Wa'ani b'kol toda ezibcha lak. I will pay that I have vowed. I will pay that I have vowed. Here. Asher nadarti shalema. Salvation to Jehovah Yeshuata la Yahuwah. Wani b'kol toda ezibchalak asher nadarti shalem Yeshuata la Yahuwah.
Whatever you have done, thank you. Whatever you have done, thank you. Whatever you have done, thank you, my brethren, for all your contributions. Thank you. Whatever you have done, thank you, my brethren, for all your contributions.
This discipleship radio broadcast has been made possible by donations from audience and listeners like you. Give thanks. Thank you very much. It's gone.
Thank you for another day. Rastafari calling him Jah. Rastafari calling him Jah. Rastafari calling him Jah. אמא שלי אומרת לך מלאכים את גיל הרשעים. Let the righteous be glad. Let them rejoice. Let them God.
Sure. Rastafari. Everything takes time. For the Lord is a great God and a great King above all gods. For the Lord is a great God and a great King above all gods. For the Lord is a great God and a great King above all gods. Here today's psalm, Mizmor Adai Hey, Psalm 95, Psalm XCV. For the Lord is a great God and a great King above all gods. Here, Psalm 95, Hebraically the third verse, the Gamel verse. Ki El Gadol Yahuwah Meleka Gadol, I'll call Elohim. For he who he be, is a great God, a great El. Ki El, for El, true good, true God, the Almighty, the power, the source. Ki El, Gadol, Yehovah, Gadol, Yehovah. For he who be, Jehovah, is a great El, a great God, a great source, a great power. El, Ki El, Gadol, Yehovah. Meleka Gadol, I'll call Elohim, and a great king. Melek Gadol. And Melek, king, Gadol, great. Melek Gadol, I'll call Elohim. Above all, call all Elohim. Above all Elohim. Above all gods. Are there other gods then? Are there other gods then? Are there other Elohim then? Is it not written? Is it not written, according to Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 39, see now that I, even I, am he, and there is no God with me. Here, Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 39, it reads, see now that I, even I, am he, and there is no God, no Elohim with me, with I. Ru, Ata, Ki, Ani who, Ve'ein Elohim Imadi. See now, y'all, see now, Reu, see y'all now, Reu, Ata, now. Ki, for, Ani, I, who. See y'all, Reu, Ata, Ki, Ani who. Now, see y'all now. Ru, Ata, Ki, for Ani, who, for I, he, for I, he, Ki, Ani, who, with aim, Elohim, and with an aim, no, not, doesn't exist, is not, with aim, and no Elohim, Imadi, and no Elohim with I. And there's no Elohim with I, Imadi. In the word Imadi, we have like Immanuel, with us, Immanu, with us, El, with us, the true God. Here, the sense of Imadi, with I, with Ain, Elohim, Imadi, and no Elohim with I, and no Elohim with me. Ru, Ata, Ki, Ani, who, with Ain, Elohim, Imadi. But what the verse from the song from Mizmor, even Mizmor, Sadai, hey, Psalm 95, means to say is this: woe to the wicked, woe to Harasha, the Rishaim, the ratchet, defiant, the ratchet ones, that together with their gods, with their so-called Elohim, go down below to Gehenna, to Hebrew hell. For, as Scripture says, even in First Chronicles chapter 16, verse 26, all the gods of the peoples are things of naught. All the gods, all the Elohim of the peoples Elohim, all the gods of the peoples are things of naught. Wednesday. Psalm needs more Farai. Hey. In his hand are the depths of the earth. The height of the mountains are his also. The sea is his, and he made it, and his hands formed the dry land. Here, Psalm 95, verses 4 to 5. Asher biyado mechikerei aretz v'to'efot harim lau asher lau hayam v'hu asahu v'yabeshet yadayo yatzaru, in whose hands are the depths, the deeps, the depths of the earth. Asher biyado, that which in his hand, in whose hand, Asher biyado mechkerei aretz, the depths of the earth, the mechkerei aretz. The heights of the mountains are also his. With ta'ifot harim lau, with ta'ifot harim lau, the heights of the mountains are his also. The sea is his, and he made it. Asher lau hayam, with who asahu, and he made it. And his hands formed the dry land. Where Yabeshet, the dry land, Yabeshet. Where Yabeshet, Yadayo, Yatzaru. And he formed Yatzaru, and his hands, they formed the dry land, the dry ground, the Yabeshet. Where Yabeshet, Yadayo, Yatzaru. Asher biyado mechkerei aretz, where to'efot harim lau, asher lau hayam, v'hu asahu, where yabeshet yadayo yatzaru. Could a mortal king, a mortal melech, if it were said to him, quote, the earth is thine, end quote, declare what its length or what its depth is? Could a mortal king, if it was said to him, the earth is thine, is the eyes, could he declare what its length, and what its depth is? But Hakadosh, Baruch Hu, but the Holy One, blessed be he, can so declare. For, as it is written, in his hand are the depths of the earth. Asher biyado mechkerei aretz, the heights of the mountains are his also. W'to'efot harim lau, the sea is his, and he made it. Asher lau hayam v'hu asahu. Could a mortal king, a mortal melech, if it were said to him, quote, the sea is thine, declare how many measures of water are in it? But Hakadosh, the Holy One, the sanctified one, the set apart one, the Isla one, Baruch Hu, blessed be he, of him it is proper to say the sea is his. It is proper to say of he who be, who he be, Asher lau hayam, the sea is his. And to say that he made it, with who asahu, with who and he, with who asahu, and he made it, and he made him, and he made it. For he knows how many measures of water are in it. As scripture says, even in Yeshayahu, in Isaiah chapter 40, verse 12, who hath measured the waters in the hollow of his hand? Mi madada besha olu amayim, who hath measured the waters, the Ain midah. Umayim tike midah. Hence, here, it is said, the sea is his, and he made it. Asher lau hamayi wehu hayam. Asher lau hayam. The sea is his. Wehu asahu, and he made it. Asher lau hayam wehu asahu. And what does Ha'el, what does Ha'el Elohim, the true good, the true God, require of you? Require of y'all bowing down in worship, as is said even here in today's song, in Mizmor Sadai Hey, Psalm 95, verses 6 to 7. Oh, come, let us make I and I worship and bow down. Make I and I kneel before the Lord, our Maker. For he is our God, and we and I are the people of his pasture, and the sheep of his hand. Bo'u niya shetachwe v'nikra'a nivareka lifnei osenu kihu Eloheinu v'anachnu amamaraito v'tzon yado. Oh, come. Bo'u, come, y'all. Bo'u, come. Make I and I bow down. Make I and I prostrate. Bo'u, niya shetachwe, and bend the knee. We're nikra'a, and bend the knee. Make I and I kneel. Nibreka, before he who he be. Lifnei oa, I and I make osenu. Bo'u, niya shetachwe, we nikra'a, nibreka lifnei oa osenu. For he who Eloheinu, he is Aina Elohim, he who Eloheinu, and we wa enachnu, and we and Aina enachnu wa enachnu. The people, Mar'ito, of his pasture, Mar'ito, with and the flock, or elsewhere translated as sheep, but here with son, the flock, and the flock, Yado, and the flock of Yado, of his hand. He who Eloheinu, wa nachnu, ama Mar'ito, wa with son, Yado. When are I and I anachnu? When are I and I his people? Amo. When are we his people? When I and I are the sheep of his pasture, or the flock of his pasture, the sheep of his pasture. As it is said even in Ezekiel chapter 31, verse 31, where it reads, when y'all, my sheep, are the sheep of my pasture, I am your God, saith the Lord God. Here, slicker, here in the print, there's a typo. It should be Ezekiel, chapter 34, verse 31, where it reads, and ye and y'all, my flock, according to KJV, and ye, speaking to y'all, you all, my flock, the flock of my pasture, men, and I, your God, saith the Lord God, the Lord God, the Lord God, the Lord God, the Lord God. Ve'aten, son, mar'iti, Adam, atem, ani Elohechem, num, Adonai Yahui, because different pronunciation there makes you get a whole new perspective on that. He is the Lion of Judah, and you're lying, lion. You're lying, man. You're lying, man. He is the Lion of Judah. Only he, and he, and he, and he, and he lion, 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 and he lion. Jeremiah 5 and 6, Jeremiah 12 and 8. The Brayist, let's see. Haitali, Nachlati, Ka'arye, vayar. Natana alaya beqolaha al-kain. Senetiha al-kain. Senetiha. And here, the rise in the Hebrew. Haitan li nachilati ka'ayi vayar. Natana alaya beqolaha al-kain. Senetiha. My heritage, here, KJV. Mine heritage to me is to I as a lion in the forest. Haitali nachlati ka'aye bayar, as a lion in the forest, ka'aye bayar, in the ya'ar, in the forest. It or she crieth out against me, against I. Therefore have I hated it. Therefore have I hated her. Here in the Hebrew brings out the sense of giveth out her voice. But the translator has his, but the Hebrew says her. It says Natana alaya beqolaha. Beqolaha, not kolo, his voice, but beqolaha al-kain. Therefore senetiha. Therefore I hate her. Senetiha. Haibali nachilati ka'aye bayar. Natana alaya beqolaha al-kain. Senetiha. My heritage is to I as a lion in the forest. It or she cries out against me, against I. Therefore I have hated her. Here. Psalm 95 verse 7. The day, if you all would but hearken to his voice. Today, hayom im bekollo tishama'u. Today, or Hebraically, the day. Hayom, the yom, day. Hayom. If bekollo, if his voice, tishama'u. If y'all would tishma'u, if y'all will hear, hearken to his voice. Rav Levi taught, if the Bnei Yisrael, if the sons, if the children, if the Israelites kept but one Sabbath, kept but one Shabbat, as it ought to be kept, they would be redeemed forthwith. For it is said, the day, Hayom, if y'all would but hearken, but hear to his voice. Hayom, Vikolo, Tishama'u, the day of which it is written, even in Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 12, observe the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Here, Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 12, Shamor et yom ha-shabbat le-kaddisho. Observe, Shamor, the Sabbath day, et yom ha-shabbat. Yom ha-shabbat, the day of the Sabbath day, le-kaddisho, to keep it holy, to keep it set apart. Shamor et yom ha-shabbat le-kaddisho. Harden not your heart, as in the provocation, and as in the day of temptation, Bamidbar, in the wilderness, when your fathers, your patriarchs, tempted me, put me to proof, even though they saw my work, even though they saw my work. Here, today's Psalm 95, verses 8 to 9, that reads, harden not your heart, as in the provocation, as in the day of temptation in the wilderness, when your fathers tempted me, put me to proof, even though they saw my work. Asher takshu levavikem k'meriva k'yom masa b'midbar asher nisuniya evotekem be'hanuni kam rao fa'oli. Harden not your heart. Harden not your heart. Al takshu levavikem, or al takshu levavikem. Harden not your levavikem, your heart. K'meriva, k'meriva, at Meriva, or in Hebrew that is to say, as provocation. as in the provocation, the mariba, ki mariba, takashua, levadekema, ki mariba, yom, as the day, masa, as the day of masa, as the day of temptation, masa, mariva is provocation, masa, temptation, bamidabar, in the midabar, in the wilderness. Asher nisuni, evotekem, when your patriarchs, evotekem, your fathers, nisuni, Asher nisuni, they tried me, bechanuni, and they proved me, bechanuni, prove me. Gam also, rao, gam, rao, also they saw, gam, rao, also they saw, fa'oli, they also saw, even though, the sense here, gam, rao, fa'oli, even though they saw my work, my divine providence, my provida, my providing, my care for them. You will find that the Bnei Yisrael, the sons, the children of Israel, put HaKadosh Baruch Hu, put the Holy One, the sanctified one, the set apart one, the Ila one, blessed be He, Baruch Hu, the proof, 10 times, as is said even Bamidbar in Numbers chapter 14, verse 22. All those men that have seen my glory and my miracles that I wrought in Egypt and in the wilderness have put me to proof these 10 times. Have put I to proof these 10 times. Ki kol ha-nashim ha-roim eta tovodia ve'eta ototai asher siti have mitzrayim u'avani bar vayanasu oti ve'esarat amim ve'lo shamu be'koli. Surely all those men that have seen my glory, ki kol ha-nashim ha-roim eta tovodi, and my signs with etaototai that I wrought in Egypt, in Mitzrayim, and in the wilderness, asher asiti abe Mitzrayim u'abar, yet have put I to proof these 10 times. Wayanasu ze'esarat amin, and have not hearkened, heard, and have not hearkened to my voice. With law, shama'u be'koli. Ki kol ha-nashim ha-roim eta-kavodia ve'eta-ototai asher asitiya be'mitzrayim u'bamidbar vayanasu oti ze'esara be'anim with law, shama'u be'koli. Twice at the Yam Suf, at the Red Sea, as is said, even in Psalm 106, verse 7, our fathers, our patriarchs, our daddies, our fathers understood not the wonders in Egypt, the wonders in Mitzrayim. They remembered not the multitude of thy mercies, but provoked him at the sea, even at the Red Sea. Evotenu ave Mitzrayim lo hisakilu nifa lo teka lo zakru etorov chisadeka vayamru al yama beyama sufa. Our fathers, our patriarchs, Ebotenu, our patriarchs, Mitzrayim, in Egypt, and Mitzrayim, and Kemet. Lo hisakilu, gave no heed. Nifa lo teka, to the eyes wonders. Lo hiskilu, nifa lo teka. They remembered not. Lo zakru. They didn't remember. They didn't call to mind. Etorova chsadeka, like the multitude. Ro, enoughness of chsadeka, of the eyes mercies. Vayamru. But they rebelled, but they were bitter, but they were embittered. Wayamru, but they were rebellious. The root word to be embittered, to be rebelled. Wayamru, but then rebelled. Al yam, at the sea. Wayamru, Al-Yam, they rebelled at the sea. The Yam Suf, at the Sea of Reeds, the Red Sea, at the Etera Bahir, at the Eritrean Sea. Ebotenu b'Mitzrayim lo hiskilu anifloteka lo zakru et roba tzadeka vayamru al yam yam suf. And here, the Midrash note right here in today's song is more Sadai Hey, Psalm 95, and connected with the Yam Suf, the Yam and the Yam Suf, the sea and the Red Sea, as we have but provoked him, but provoked or rebelled, or Yamru were rebellious, were embittered toward him at the sea, at the Yam, even at the Yam Suf. So the Midrash notice that the repetition of the word sea, Hebraically the word Yam, 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 is taken to intimate that there were two proofs of their rebellion at the sea, at the Yam, as we have it at the sea, at the Red Sea, where Yamru, all Yam, bin Yam Suf. But they were rebellious at the sea, where Yamru, all Yam, even at the Red Sea, the Yam Suf. So the two mentions, the repetition is connected right here with the Midrash, pointing to Psalm 106, that twice they rebelled at the Yam Suf, at the Etera Bahir, at the Red Sea, the Sea of Reeds, at the Eritrean Sea, and brought out because of the two repetitions of the word sea, Yam, Yam Suf. And twice with the quail, once with the manna, once with the manna, and once with the molten calf that is falsely elsewhere called the golden calf, and once with the molten calf. We have the quail in Shemot in Exodus chapter 16 verse 13, as well as Bamidbar, Numbers chapter 11 verse 31 to 32. For the manna, the manna, we have Shemot, Exodus chapter 16 verse 20, and for the Edil Masekah, for the molten calf, mostly called the golden calf, we have Shemot, we have Exodus chapter 32, and it is once at Paran, counted 10 times, once at Paran, and Paran, we have, it came to the spies, it came back to lies, we have Amidbar, Numbers chapter 13, verse 26, this one being the most provoking, the Etava, Ethiopia, the good land, the Tobia, the good land, where the 12 spies were sent, and 10 of them came back and told lies, ain't right Israelites. But this one at Paran, is the most provoking, the one that we have in Bamidbar, that's the book of Numbers chapter 13, verse 26, concerning the spies. You say, continue the Midrash here, you say 10 proofs, but you instance only 7. In the Midrash reasoning here, the study of today's psalm, you say 10 proofs, but you instant only 7. So 7 we already mentioned. The question here is, what are the other 3? What are the other 3 proofs of the 10 times? The other 3 are mentioned in the verse from Devarim, from Deuteronomy chapter 9, verse 22, where it reads, at Tabera, and at Massa, and at Kivrota Hadava, ye all provoked the Lord to wrath. So these are the other 3 times, pointing to Devarim, pointing to Deuteronomy chapter 9, verse 22. Uva ve tavera, uva masa, uva kivrota hataeva, makasifima heitem atioa, and at Tabera, ube tabera, and at Masa, ube masa, and at Kivrota Hatava, Uabe Kivrota Hatawa, ye all made he who be wroth, Makatsafim, Heitema, Etioa, Uabe Tabera, Uabe Masa, Uabe Kivrota Hatawa, Makatsafima, Heitem, Etioa. Thus, therefore, the 10 proofs. And why? Why does not Scripture instance these with the others? Because these 3 were more As we have in the verse, even from Eo, even the verse from Job, from Eo, Job chapter 10, verse 1, where it reads, my soul loatheth, no kata, my life. My soul, no kata, from the Hebraic root, loatheth. Rav Levi said, it connotes the word akut, here being brought out as cut off, banishment. Since the people of that generation were banished, they were banished for 38 years. They were banished, the people of that generation. Now, the edited text here, it reads 48 years. Now, 38, here, Midrash, 38 out of the 40 years spent in the wilderness, spent by Midbar in the wilderness, 40 less the first and the last years. So there are reference points to the Barim, Deuteronomy chapter 2, verse 16, and also to the above psalm in the Midrash, Psalm 28.7, the 7th parek right there. Here in today's psalm, continuing Psalm 95, here at verse 11, wherefore I swore in my wrath that they should not enter into my rest. Therefore I swore in my wrath that they should not enter into my rest. Ashara niya shibaiti ve'api ima yivuna illa menuchati. Wherefore I swore in my wrath. Ashara niya shibaiti ve'api, that they should not enter into my rest. Illa menuchati. Ashara nishbaiti be'api ima yibuna illa minuchati. That is to say, into the Eret Yisrael, into the land of Yisrael. Man who sees the true good, the true God, the prince of Sar of El, Yashar El, the upright of El, that they should not enter into my rest. That is the Eret Yisrael. Of that, it is said, even in Devarim, in Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 9, for y'all are not as yet come to the rest and to the inheritance. Here in Devarim, here in Deuteronomy chapter 12, in chapter 12, verse 9, it reads, for y'all are not as yet come to the rest and to the inheritance. And here Hebraically, ki lo vatem ad atam ela hamanucha ve'ela hanachla asher Yahweh Eloheka noten lak. For y'all are not as yet come to the rest and to the inheritance. Ki lo vatem ad ata ela hamanucha ve'ela hanachla. That he who he be, your Elohim, the I Elohim, giveth thee I. Asher Yahweh Eloheka noten lak. Ki lo batem ad ata ela hamanucha ve'ela hanachla. Asher Yahweh Eloheka noten lak. And also, as is written in Psalm 132, verses 13 to 14, and also the rest, and also Zion is my rest forever. Zion is my rest forever. And here, Mizmor Kof Lamed Beit, here, Psalm 132, these two verses to fulfill the Midrash here, where it reads the full of verse 13 and 14, for he who be Jehovah hath chosen Zion. He hath desired it, he hath desired her for his habitation. This is my resting place forever. Here will I dwell, for I have desired it, for I have desired her, Ki avahar Yahweh b'Zion, I'avaha le'moshav lo, Zota menuchati edei ada, po esheva, Ki iawi evitiha, for I desired her. Ki bahar Yahweh b'Zion, Iyawaha limo shabalo. Zota minuhatia ideya ada. Po esheba. Kia iawitiha. Yes, brothers and sisters and brothers, those on the live stream, as best as we can give, apologies. The live stream went out a few times. We had to kind of like bootleg it, so to speak, and keep it going forward. Once again, check out the Blog Talk Radio / LOJ Society, one word, LOJ Society, for any of the full MP3s. But give thanks and praise to the Majesty B'Shem Yeshua HaMoshiach. Yes, I. Shalom, Habarim, Leila Tov, good evening, good night, and Boker Tov, good morning, good dawn, and looking forward to the upper room of Zion, for Zion I rest, for I am. Shalom, Habarim.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.